Chapter 173. There was a Three Seasons bar downstairs of the Three Seasons Hotel. The place was quite big, and the business was also very good. There was no shortage of men hunting for sex, and there was no shortage of women seeking excitement. As long as you had money, you could really do whatever you wanted here. The DJ in the bar stirred up the atmosphere. Countless young men and women shook their bodies crazily, enjoying the excitement of physical contact with strangers. In the corner of the bar, two men sat in the booth. They were dressed in ordinary clothes and were not eye-catching. However, no one could have imagined that one of the men was the second young master of the Ying family, Ying Kangshi, and the other was his personal attendant, Liu Bai. The two of them had been master and servant since they were young, and their relationship was quite good. At this time, Ying Kangshi was shaking his head along with the rhythm of the music. He was in a great mood, but Liu Bai, who was beside him, seemed very worried. "Young master, let's go back. It's enough for your wedding. Don't cause any trouble," Liu Bai suggested. When the young master received the news today, he was so excited that he almost went to the heavens. Not only did he want to hold a banquet, he even sneaked out to have fun tonight. Ying Kangshi laughed and shouted, "Bibi, cheer up. Who would know that I'm here? But I'm afraid that young master will harm you," Liu Bai said worriedly. "Do you know why Her Majesty chose me and not him?" Ying Kangshi asked with a confident smile. Liu Bai shook his head. Ying Kangshi patted Liu Bai's shoulder. "Who would choose a troublemaker? Of course, they would choose someone who is easy to control, just like me." Liu Bai came to a sudden realization: young master is wise, but marrying him will damage young master's reputation. Ying Kangshi laughed out loud and lit up a cigarette. "Bibi, you really don't know anything. Being able to suppress the empress makes my life worth it. Young master is right. It's a pity that the Eastern Emperor doesn't have a male successor. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a share in it. In the end, I'm just a sower. But no matter what, the seed is still my Ying family's." Ying Kangshi gradually stopped smiling and said in a low voice, "Of course, young master is currently the person that all men in the world are envious of, and the expression that young master had today was also, 'Ha, my brother probably wants to kill me.' Young master, let's go back. Safety is more important," Liu Bai continued to persuade. Ying Kangshi smiled and said, all right, let's go back after playing for a while. Order a fruit platter and 2 bottles of beer." Liu Bai sighed. The young master was probably bored to death. The things of the secular world were just so attractive. At this moment, Qing Yutong and Yizizi had also arrived at the entrance of the bar. For beautiful women, there was no need for them to queue up, and they were directly allowed to enter. However, when the two of them appeared in the bar, everyone who saw them was stunned. This big and small pair was too awesome. It was Yizizi's first time in a bar. She became excited as soon as she heard the music. Her ponytail began to flutter, and her hair opened up. She was ready for a big cleaning. "Zizi, are you high?" Qing Yutong shouted out loudly. Yizizi paused for a moment. Her ponytail calmed down and she asked loudly, "Sister Qing, what are we going to do now?" "Of course we are going to shake it." Qing Yutong held onto Yizizi's hand, and walked towards the dance floor. Just when they turned around, they bumped into a person, and the beer on the plate immediately fell onto the ground and shattered. Lord Jiu stared blankly at the broken wine bottle. He had changed into his work clothes the moment he arrived at the bar. All of this had been arranged beforehand. Now that the opportunity had come, the medicine had already been administered. The target was just 15 meters away, and yet, this woman knocked the target the moment she turned around. Jiu Ye's heart was bleeding. "Xiao Jiu, why is it you?" Qing Yutong cried out in surprise. When Jiu Yi saw this face, he finally knew why he was so unlucky. "Oh my God, these people are really haunting me. Forget about it being on the same flight, they even stayed in the same hotel. They even bumped into me when I was doing a mission, and they even spilled my poison. But luckily, I still have one more bottle. You got the wrong person. Jiu Yi lowered his head, turned around and left, and continued to administer the medicine. Qing Yutong pouted her mouth, but did not really care about it. Pulling Yizizi along, she ran to the dance floor and had fun. Sure enough, when the two girls ran to the dance floor, they immediately became the focus of attention. Everyone surrounded them into a circle and shouted out. Qing Yutong was a celebrity, her dancing skills and whatnot were not difficult for her. It was Yizizi's first time dancing, and she did not really understand, but when she saw Qing Yutong twisting and turning, she started learning, and very quickly, she found the feeling. A beautiful woman that was bubbling with beauty, and a cute little loli. There were a lot of people at the scene who were currently opening up Baidu and searching how many years they would be sentenced to. Those two are a bit interesting. In Kangshi also noticed Qing Yutong and Yizizi who were on the dance floor. Lu Bai nodded his head. Gongzi's eyesight is indeed unique. Do you need me to go? Go ahead, this big and small pair are truly not bad. In Kangshi's eyes shone, this kind of beauty is too rare to see. Qing Yutong and Yizizi enjoyed everyone's gazes, and they felt great, and Yizizi became a bit excited again. I am almost unable to control the feeling of sucking people, Yizizi pouted her small mouth. Although it was not interesting for ordinary people to suck people, it was still better than nothing. 2 misses, can you give me face and drink a cup of wine? Lu Bai could be seen walking in front of the two of them and shouting. Qing Yutong pulled Yizizi and straightforwardly agreed. There is a free drink to drink, it would be a waste not to drink. Lu Bai thought that it would be very hard to persuade them, but he didn't expect that it would be so easy. Seems like Gongzi is going to have good luck with women tonight. Seeing a beautiful woman leaving with a man, everyone was envious. This kind of thing is hard to encounter even once a year. Arriving at the booth, In Kangshi stood up, then stretched out his hand in a refined manner. Nice to meet you too. However, Qing Yutong and Yizizi ignored him, and even more so, did not stretch out their hand and directly sat on the booth. In Kangshi retracted his hand a bit awkwardly. All beautiful women have such personality. Big sister Qing, I am a bit thirsty. Yizizi pulled onto Qing Yutong's arm. Qing Yutong looked towards In Kangshi and said with a smile, handsome brother, you don't even have wine here, why did you call us over? Wine? No problem. In Kangshi nodded his head towards Lu Bai, and the latter immediately went to make arrangements. Beautiful woman, did you come to Sanya for a vacation? In Kangshi revealed a smile that he thought was very handsome. Yizizi said coquettishly, I'm not telling you, damn, this little loli is simply too cute, if I were to grab onto those 2 ponytails, how refreshing would that be? If I were to add on the service of this beautiful woman, I would simply be as excited as pressing down on an empress. Mister, your wine is here. Jiu Yi walked over with a smile and placed 2 bottles of beer on the table. However, when he saw Qing Yutong and Yizizi, his expression immediately stiffened. Why is it them again? It is one thing to encounter them in the same bar, but to actually sit beside my target, what if they were to drink this wine? A waiter could be seen walking over, and under Jiu Ye's dumbfounded gaze, the waiter placed all of the wine on the table. Chapter 174. Lord Jiu was on the verge of tears. Qing Yutong was very puzzled, what exactly is this 9th master doing? He secretly disguised himself as a waiter and looked as if he had just eaten **T, how about playing dice? Qing Yutong suggested. Whatever the beautiful lady says. In Kangshi smiled faintly. The moment he thought about grabbing onto Ponytail and attacking crazily, he was secretly delighted. Qing Yutong laughed lightly, it's just that it's boring if there are too few people. Lu Bai smiled and said, I can do it too. How about we call him along as well? Qing Yutong pointed at Jiu Yi with her delicate index finger. Jiu Yi was about to collapse. I really want to cry, but the person who wanted to cry even more was the other waiter. You guys actually ordered an old waiter, and not a young fellow, could it be that the taste of beauties nowadays has changed? How could Lord Jiu agree? He hurriedly said, "Sir, I have to go to work." Lu Bai threw a bundle of red notes and said, "I'm familiar with the boss here." Lord Jiu was also afraid that if he continued to refuse, his scheme would be exposed. All right. But there were at least 60 bottles here. Which 2 bottles were drugged? F***ck. This woman was a devil. Nothing good ever came out of meeting her. If you lose, you will lose a bottle. Qing Yutong said tenderly. In Kangshi gave her a thumbs up and said, "Beauty, you're so straightforward. 1 bottle it is." He saw that Yizizi had already opened a bottle and was drinking it first as a sign of respect. Burp. Looking at Yizizi's appearance when she burped, it was so adorable that everyone was about to explode. In Kangshi couldn't wait any longer. Little lowly, my love, the 5 of them were playing dice, and they were drinking bottle after bottle. Soon, half of the bottles were gone. Lord Jiu drank about 10 bottles, and he didn't know if he had drunk poison. He felt unwell. It was all their fault. Why did they come here to drink? If they didn't come, the 2 bottles of wine they had just brought would have been drunk by this target. Although it was fine to drink the wine, as long as he cast a spell, he would instantly die on the spot. If the master cast a spell now, he would definitely die. Which 2 bottles were they? Because he was worried about the poisoned wine bottle, Lord Jiu was not in the mood to play the game. But because he was not in the mood to play, the chances of him losing were higher, so of course, he drank more. Not long after, the wine bottles on the table were emptied. Just who was it that drank those 2 bottles, Jiu Yi also did not know, but he knew that the probability of him being the one that drank those 2 bottles was higher. This beer is boring, serve it white. Qing Yutong snorted. In Kangshi couldn't wait to get them drunk. Therefore, he simply used the liquor with the highest alcohol content. Of course, he didn't drink it 1 bottle at a time. Instead, he drank it in small cups. Other than Jiu Yi, those sitting here were either old monsters or people with systems. Of course, there were also 2 cultivators. The pitiful Jiu Yi was probably going to cry himself to sleep in the toilet. Why did the immortals call a mortal like him to join in on the fun? Yizizi was a little bored. It was not as exciting as I stab you and you stab me. She was playing with Inkangshi's Zippo lighter. Lord Jiu could no longer hold on and was the first to fall. The others were like drinking water. The drunk Lord Jiu revealed a gratified smile. He must have dreamed that he had completed the mission. "Beauty, you've lost again." Inkangshi chuckled. However, it was strange. This woman had already drunk quite a bit. Why wasn't she drunk? Qing Yutong snorted, then looked at Yizizi who was playing with the lighter, then said, "Handsome brother, your luck is not bad." Qing Yutong could be seen standing up, then filling up the beer for herself, then filling up the beer for Inkangshi. However, right at this moment, Qing Yutong seemed to be a little unstable. She swung her delicate hand, and a small cup of liquor spilled onto Inkangshi's crotch. Yizizi was startled. She swung the lighter in her hand, and it just so happened to land on Inkangshi's crotch. "Big sister Qing, are you drunk?" "Fire! Fire! Fire!" Inkangshi was a little stupefied. Who doesn't stupefy when his crotch is on fire? Inkangshi immediately patted his crotch. Yizizi turned pale with fright. "Don't panic, I'm here to save you." Yizizi could be seen pouring the liquor on the table. Pooh! The fire became a little more ferocious. Lu Bai hurriedly prepared to save Inkangshi, but Qing Yutong pushed him away with her delicate hand and shouted, "Let me do it." The 10 centimeters high heel directly stabbed towards the fire. No! Ah! Inkangshi let out a miserable scream. However, his scream was drowned out by the music, and adding that it was at a corner, who would look at him? "Zizi, quickly come and help me." Qing Yutong stepped on Inkangshi's crotch with all her might. Meanwhile, Lu Bai was lying on the sofa, unable to move at all as he watched his young master being humiliated. Yizizi's body was rather short, and thus, she stood on the sofa and stepped on the fire. Inkongsher, who had fainted, was woken up by the pain, and he just happened to see Yizizi's foot landing on the fire. Don't. Inkongsher felt that his crotch seemed to be missing something, and it felt empty. Don't speak, Zizi is here to save your life. After finished speaking, Yizizi ferociously stepped on Inkongsher's crotch, and Inkongsher immediately fainted again. Just how big of a grudge do you have against my crotch? Furthermore, you are not saving my life, you are trying to take my life. The rescue was still going on, and after stomping on Inkongsher ferociously for around 5 minutes, the fire was finally extinguished. Qing Yutong wiped off the sweat on her forehead. Luckily, no one was burnt. Yizizi sighed. He was too careless. If it weren't for the two of us, he would have been burned to death. Lu Bai felt that he could control his body again, and he pounced towards his young master. Young master. Young master. Wake up. Quickly bring him to the hospital, we can only help him to this point. Zizi, let's go. After finished speaking, Qing Yutong pulled Yizizi and left. Walking out of the bar, the two of them shook their eyebrows, high-fived each other, and hopped back to sleep. Humph, how dare you tease me, I will stomp on you in the bar. Lu Bai looked at young master's crotch. It was dyed red with fresh blood. It was probably a mess of flesh and blood. No. No. He had to go back and get treated. Lu Bai carried Inkongsher on his back and left quickly. Lord Jiu, who was originally drunk, immediately opened his eyes. If he did not pretend to be drunk just now, who knows how much he would have drunk. But when he squinted his eyes and saw them being violent, he couldn't help but touch his crotch. It was too cruel. A living person was trampled into a cripple by them, thinking about how those 10 centimeters high heels pierced into his body, that kind of sour feeling. I reckon that only my target would be able to experience it. Now is not the time to think about this, I have to report to my master, please don't use any magic. After changing his clothes, Lord Jiu immediately returned to his room and sent a message to one of his masters. Master, the poison seems to have been drunk by me. After waiting for a long time, his master finally replied. Lord Jiu was a bit stupefied. I don't understand what these 6 dots mean. But no matter what, I still have to report back the message that I just received. Master, although the target did not die, his balls exploded. Lord Jiu's master clearly did not react to what Lord Jiu said, and was still thinking about what the word balls meant. After a long time, he replied, what do you mean? Lord Jiu wanted to give this master of mine a new definition. You don't even understand this. Don't tell me that you are still a virgin. The target might have become a eunuch right now. After finished speaking, Lord Jiu waited for a reply. As long as the target doesn't scold me and give me the antidote, it will be fine. Little Jiu, well done. Looking at the reply, Lord Jiu was very stupefied. What is going on? What do you want? Tell me. Anything is fine. Lord Jiu was stupefied, this might be a blessing in disguise. Chapter 175. Right now, Lu Bai was carrying Inkongsher on his back and flying towards the sea surface at high speed while muttering, young master, hold on, we are almost there. If I knew that this would be the end result, I would have already persuaded young master to go back home. How am I going to explain such a big matter to him? In the sky, Lu Bai suddenly stopped and took out a token. A white halo appeared in front of him and directly passed through. It was still the sea surface, but there was an island not far away. There were ancient buildings built on the island, and a towering city gate extended to both sides of the island. Day and night, the city gate faced the sea and the sunrise. The city gate was grand and magnificent. There were more than 20 buildings on the city gate, but it didn't feel crowded or repetitive at all. There were pavilions, terraces, waterside pavilions, strange rocks, flower beds, and bonsai decorating the buildings. When the guards on the city gates saw someone flying over, they immediately raised their vigilance and shouted, "Who are you? Quickly get out of the way, this is the second young master. Lu Bai shouted. The guards were startled and immediately kept their weapons and lowered their heads. Lu Bai didn't think too much and ran straight towards the center of the buildings. That was the resting place of Ying family's family master. As the family master of Ying family, Ying Jingshan didn't have many wives and concubines. In his entire life, he only had this one woman by his side, and her name was Yu He. This was the woman that Ying Jingshan met when he went out to train. She didn't have an astonishing appearance, but she was able to move this man's heart. And Yu He was just an ordinary person. Nestling in her husband's embrace, Yu He slightly frowned and said, Jingshan, won't Kang be wronged by marrying her? How can that be? The other party is Donghuang Baiji, there are countless men who want to marry her. Kang being able to have such a life is also his fortune. Besides, this marriage is not bad. As the family master of Ying family, of course, he would consider everything. And as a mother, she would definitely only consider her son's happiness. Yu He sighed lightly, but I keep feeling uneasy. I heard that this empress is very tyrannical, I'm afraid that Kang will be at a disadvantage. Things will change after getting married. Right now, what we should be worrying about is Ho-er's marriage. Did he fancy any girl from any family? Ying Jingshan asked with a smile. Ying Jingshan still felt that his eldest son, Ying Ho, was more suitable to inherit his position. At first, he thought that his youngest son would be wronged, but he didn't expect that his youngest son would be marrying Donghuang Baiji. Looking at my eldest son's attitude today, it seems like he is unwilling to give up. Thinking about it, it makes sense. No matter how much power he has, conquering a woman like Donghuang Baiji is equivalent to conquering the world. Ho-er had been working hard since he was a child, striving to become the next patriarch of the Ying family. Kang-er, on the other hand, didn't work so hard. It seemed that he didn't want to be the next patriarch, nor did he want to fight for it. Now, things were great. With a single word from the empress, his younger brother's status would far surpass his own. How could he be willing to accept this? If he did not work hard, he would soar into the sky in a single bound. Jingshan, I think it's better not to talk about Ho-er's marriage now. After all, Kang-er's partner is the empress. It's inevitable that Ho-er will feel unbalanced. If he finds an ordinary woman, won't he be even angrier? I don't want to see the two brothers have a falling out. Although Yuho was an ordinary person, after marrying Ying Jingshan, she had slowly learned this kind of worldview. Ying Jingshan let out a deep sigh, I really don't know if this empress' words are good or bad. Our Ying family just wants to live peacefully, that's all. Whatever powers struggle, let it be. Suddenly, there was a commotion outside. It had been a long time since something like this had happened in the Ying family. I'll go take a look, Ying Jingshan said in a deep voice. I'll go with you. The two of them put on their black silk nightgowns and walked out of the room. They immediately looked at Lu Bai and cried loudly, Patriarch, Madam, quickly save young master, he's dying. Yizizi and Qing Yutong didn't go easy on Yizizi and Qing Yutong, especially Qing Yutong, she was stepping on Yizizi and Qing Yutong to death. If Qing Yutong knew that the one she stepped on this time was the second son of Ying family, would she have a different reaction? What's going on? Ying Jingshan shouted. He hurriedly checked on his son's injuries, and his expression was terrifyingly heavy. Lu Bai wailed loudly, Patriarch, young master is so pitiful, he was trampled on like this. Ying Jingshan's eyes widened as he bellowed, quickly call Divine Dr. Song over. When Yu He took a closer look, she immediately had a feeling of dizziness. My son's crotch is filled with blood. After a while, Divine Dr. Song arrived. At the same time, Marquis Ying also arrived. His appearance was slightly worse than Ying Kangsher's. There was a mole on his chin, and he gave off the feeling that he was a wily old fox. At the same time, the other members of the Ying family also arrived. Everyone sat in the great hall, waiting for the result. Lu Bai knelt in the center, sobbing quietly. Ying Jingshan fiercely slammed onto the table, What are you crying for? Tell me everything that happened in detail. While sobbing, Lu Bai narrated everything that happened in detail. He didn't add anything and didn't cut anything out. Honest people are easy to bully. All the members of the Ying family who were sitting in the hall knew that they stepped on an iron plate and got beaten up. A skinny middle-aged man took the initiative to voice out his opinion. His name was Ying Xiang, Ying Jingshan's younger brother. The Empress passed the news to me in the morning. It hasn't even been a day, and nephew Kong has already made such a joke out of himself. If the news were to reach the ears of the Empress, wouldn't that be bad? Is the son that my Ying family brought up to be like this? Ying Xiang's words had a bit of a taste of throwing stones at a person who was down, and there was even more of a hidden mockery hidden within. Marquis Ying, who was standing behind his father, didn't say anything. Right now, silence spoke louder than words. Lu Bai, who was kneeling on the ground, spoke up for his master. Second young master went there to drink a few cups of wine because he was happy today. I reckon that he got drunk, and that's why he asked this lowly one to go and call those two girls over. Ying Xiang was the third son, and he was a bit plump when he reached middle age. He could be heard saying unhurriedly, "Forget about the adult females, there was even an underage child among them. Big brother, if such a thing were to be spread out, it would be such a loss of face." Second young master really didn't have any other thoughts. At that time, this lowly one also didn't know what happened. Second young master's crotch suddenly caught on fire, and the two girls helped second young master to extinguish the fire. After fiercely kicking second young master's crotch, this lowly one didn't know why I couldn't move, and could only watch as second young master was being kicked alive. Lu Bai hurriedly spoke up for Ying Kongsher. Ying Jingshan took a deep breath and asked, "Were those two girls ordinary people?" Lu Bai nodded his head, expressing that he didn't notice anything strange. The first guess that appeared in Ying Jingshan's mind was that someone intentionally set up a trap. "Are there any other strange phenomena?" Yuha asked cleanly. There was a strange middle-aged waiter who had a restless expression on his face. Lu Bai recalled for a while and said. Marquis Ying, who didn't speak all along, paused for a moment. Ying Jingshan made a preliminary judgment. Seems like the news of Kong, going out today was found out by someone, and someone plotted against him. At this moment, an old man slowly walked into the hall and bowed towards everyone. "Divine Dr. Song, how is Kong's condition?" Yuha asked worriedly. Divine Dr. Song let out a sigh. "This old man has already tried his best. Second young master's lamp has been extinguished." Upon hearing this result, everything before Yuha's eyes turned black, and she fainted. Yuha. Chapter 176. Yuha couldn't take this kind of blow and fainted. "My son is actually unable to have sex." Ying Jingshan carried his wife back to the room to rest, then came to the main hall. His face was terrifyingly gloomy. On the other hand, the other family members didn't seem to care much about it. To them, this might be an opportunity. Could it be that the Empress is going to marry a eunuch? How is that possible? He is not the only boy in the huge Ying family. Ying Xiang said, "Big brother, it has only been a day, and nephew Kong is already like this. How are we going to explain this to the Empress?" "That's right, big brother, it is already very shameful for such a thing to happen to Ying family. The betrothal gifts are going to be sent over tomorrow. Big brother, it is better for you to make plans as soon as possible." Ying Xiang also followed and said. "If my son marries the Empress, that would be the rhythm of a meteoric rise. Furthermore, big brother only has two sons, one has become a eunuch, and the other has to marry out, leaving the position of the family head empty. Or continue to be the family head and let the other boys marry out. You can't have your cake and eat it too. This matter must be investigated thoroughly." "Ying Ho." Ying Jingshan shouted gravely. "Yes. Bring back the waiters of the bar and those two girls. I would like to see who dares to mess with our Ying family." "Yes." It was impossible to find Jiu Yi, all of the registered information was fake, and right now, Jiu Yi had already returned to Long An City in the middle of the night, and his butt was wiped clean. However, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi were not that lucky. Ying Xiang said hurriedly, Big brother, tracking down the culprit behind the scenes is important, but how do we answer the Empress tomorrow is also important. Let me think about it, all of you go and rest. Ying Jingshan waved his hand, feeling depressed in his heart. Unexpectedly, Ying Xiang said, Big brother, nephew Kong is going to hold a banquet at Three Seasons Hotel tomorrow, should we cancel this banquet? He is already like that, he can't even stand up, and there is still a banquet to celebrate. Celebrate that there is another father-in-law in this world? Cancel it. Ying Kongsher said, then left to take a look at his son's injuries. The other family members shook their heads, then left after chatting with Ying Ho for a bit. After everyone left, Ying Ho revealed a trace of a smile. This Jiu Ye's way of handling things is really unexpected, this is even more ruthless than killing people. Presumably, those two girls should be called by Jiu Ye as well. What was so good about being the Ying family's patriarch? It was only interesting to be the Empress man. As for the two girls, of course, he couldn't capture them. If they confessed, he would be finished. Since that was the case, he could only kill them. Lord Jiu still had some use for them, so he wouldn't kill them for now. In Ying Kongsher's room, Lu Bai accompanied him and took care of him attentively. Right now, young master's face was pale, and he already looked like a father-in-law. How miserable. How is it? Ying Jingshan walked over and asked. Lu Bai respectfully said, Divine Dr. Song said that second young master is fine and will wake up soon. Just as he finished speaking, Ying Kongsher, who was lying on the bed, woke up with a frown. Father, Lu Bai, you guys are all here. Ying Kongsher said with a faint smile. He did not feel that he had lost an organ. Seeing the strange expression on the two people's faces, Ying Kongsher immediately recalled what happened just now. Lowering his head to take a look, I feel empty, young master, don't touch it. Divine Dr. Song just applied the medicine. Lu Bai hurriedly warned. The corner of Ying Kongsher's mouth began to twitch. His crotch area was flat, and his facial expression changed drastically. Calm down. Ying Jingshan wasn't feeling well either. His son was crippled, who would be able to accept it? Father, save me, I don't want to have no foundation. If I don't have any foundation, how am I going to marry the Empress? 2 hours ago, he was still having a sweet dream, fantasizing about the Empress's body, but now, what exactly happened? Ying Jingshan didn't want to give his son a blow. You definitely can't get married. Ying Kongsher's expression immediately became sinister. Father, it's those two women. Those two women did it on purpose. I am going to hack them into pieces. I am going to be a prostitute forever. I heard from Lu Bai that there was a 7 or 8 years old child among them. Ying Jingshan questioned. Although he felt heartache, he was also hateful. If it wasn't for you lusting after women, how could such a thing have happened? To actually lay your hands on a child, you have lost all your face. Ying Kongsher immediately thought of Yi Zizi's face, that petite figure, and that pair of ponytails. It's a pity that it's impossible for me to grab onto those ponytails right now, not even in this lifetime. Father, I only invited them for a drink, I don't have any other motive. Ying Kongsher hurriedly explained. Ying Jingshan let out a deep sigh. Father, I still have to hold a banquet tomorrow, I will cancel it for you, you just have to properly recuperate at home, Ying Ho has already caught the person who injured you. After finished speaking, Ying Jingshan walked out, his mood was very bad. Cancel? How can I cancel it? If I do that, wouldn't I be ridiculed by everyone? Ridiculing me for standing up is better than ridiculing me for being a father-in-law. Ying Jingshan's thoughts were very simple, this matter can't be spread out, if there is a need, can't go out in this lifetime, Ying family can't afford to lose this face. However, this is impossible, Ying family is definitely going to lose this face. Young master. Lu Bai shouted out in concern. In Kangshi's eyes were lifeless. He wasn't stupid. Father's meaning just now was very clear. I who have no foundation, it's impossible for me to marry the Empress. I am not resigned. I have to be so careful when I go out tonight. I must have been discovered by someone. Big Brother is the biggest suspect. Thinking back to Big Brother's expression in the morning, Kangshi seemed to have already confirmed it, and thought silently in his heart, if I can't get it, don't even think about getting it. Looking at the young master's pair of gloomy and cold eyes, Lu Bai was endlessly worried. Within the Three Seasons Hotel, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi took a bath and wore cute pajamas. It was normal for Kangshi to have such a thought. Even if there wasn't Kangshi, there would still be other tycoons who invited them, and the ending should be more or less the same. Kangshi can only blame himself for being too unlucky. He is destined to not be able to become the Empress man. Zizi, you were really smart just now. Qing Yutong pinched onto Yi Zizi's little face. Originally, when she saw Yi Zizi playing with the lighter, she conveniently knocked over the wine glass, and very quickly, Yi Zizi's little hand trembled, causing the lighter to fall onto the glass. One could well imagine what would happen if the two of them were to stay together. This was also the reason why Yi Hua didn't want Yi Zizi and Qing Yutong to be together. To Yi Zizi, this was just a child's play. Yi Zizi revealed out two cute little dimples. Zizi has long been unable to stand the sight of him. Originally, I wanted to burn him with fire. Damn, Zizi, you are so violent. This won't do. Girls have to be more obedient. Qing Yutong guided attentively. Big sister Qing, Zizi learned it from you. You are so straightforward when you step on him. Qing Yutong's eyebrows twitched. Yi Zizi immediately understood. The two turned on their computers. It was impossible for them not to eat chicken before going to bed. Chapter 177. This person was dressed in black, and he hid well in the dark. An assassin like him didn't need to sneak in at all. He could just fly up and enter through the window. The mission this time was just two ordinary people. It was too easy. Gently floating on the balcony, the black-clothed man took out a short dagger and smeared a layer of poison on it. Killing without leaving a trace. Sneaking a peek at the room at the side, the lights were still on. The man in black started to walk into the room with a sinister smile on his face. However, Zizi. There's someone outside the window. Qing Yutong could be heard shouting out while wearing earphones. The man in black was shocked. How did they find him? Didn't the intelligence say that they were two ordinary people? Yi Zizi controlled her character and shouted, I heard it a long time ago. Watch how I kill you. The man in black turned pale with fright and immediately lay on the balcony. He had encountered two troublesome people. Qing Yutong could be heard shouting out, do you think that I won't be able to see you just because you are lying on the ground? The man in black was about to go crazy. He hadn't even found the target yet, but the target had found him. What was the killer most worried about? Exposing his identity. After waiting for a while, the assassin in black felt that it was quiet again. Could it be that he was hallucinating? That should be the case. Those were all auditory hallucinations. How could he have been discovered? Sneaking into the room, he saw that the lights in the living room were off, but the bedroom was on. It seemed that he was inside. The black-clothed assassin revealed a cruel smile and subconsciously licked the blade. Something doesn't feel right, it seemed like he had smeared poison on it. TMD. His mind was unsettled by what he did just now, and he was actually licking poison. The black-clothed assassin immediately took out the antidote and drank it. He heaved a sigh of relief and went back to the bedroom. There are footsteps. Qing Yutong could be heard shouting out. The man in black was so scared that he leaned against the wall. They were really powerful. His footsteps were almost silent, but they could actually hear him. Yi Zizi giggled and said, Sister Qing, we've stopped a fool. The black-robed man's expression changed. Could this be a trap? He actually jumped into someone else's trap. Zizi, don't move. Wait for me to get my weapon. I'm going to blow his head off today. Qing Yutong's delicate shout rang out again, and this frightened the black-clothed man. He had really fallen into someone else's trap. No. This mission was too difficult. He had to call for more helpers. The man in black took small steps, preparing to slip away. You still want to run? Zizi, blow his head off. Okay, the man in black couldn't care less and directly broke through the window. There were many traps inside. The information was wrong. He had to rethink the plan. Within the bedroom, Qing Yutong wrinkled her brows and looked towards Yi Zizi. Zizi, I just heard the sound of someone jumping out of the window. Yi Zizi blinked her eyes towards Qing Yutong. It seems like someone jumped out of the window. Seems like there are still people in Pochinki. Qing Yutong let out a breath. However, the two of them had an evil smile on their faces. This game was simply too fun. The room at the side was precisely Yi Hua's room. The sound of the window breaking caused Yi Hua to open his eyes, then casually waved his hand. The black-clothed man, who was rejoicing over his escape, gradually disappeared as he flew. It was truly a painless death. Lightly caressing the woman in his embrace, Yi Hua noticed that she was not woken up by the commotion. The corner of Yi Hua's mouth curved upwards. Yi Hua, someone jumped out of the window, quickly come over. Qing Ye pursed her lips. Seems like she was sleep-talking. Yi Hua shook his head helplessly. Even in his dreams, I always think about playing games, luckily I am still inside. Yi Hua, how did your head get blown off? I will help you take revenge. Yi Hua, this foolish woman, I really want to slap her awake and properly teach her a lesson. In the morning, Qing Ye woke up very early. Because today was a good day, taking wedding photos, just thinking about it made her excited. Qing Ye could be seen to have already changed her clothes and pulled onto Yi Hua, who was on the bed. Yi Hua, quickly get up. Are you crazy? It is only 6 a.m. right now. Yi Hua said gravely. Qing Ye shook onto Yi Hua's arm. Hubby, I am excited, quickly get up, I really can't stand you. Yi Hua sat on the bed, held on to Qing Ye's waist, and immediately kissed her. Are you satisfied now? Quickly get up. Qing Ye rolled her eyes at Yi Hua. Messing around so early in the morning, he is really getting more and more excessive. However, I really like the current version of Yi Hua, it is much better than the previous version. Yi Hua let out a sigh. After washing up, he brought Qing Ye to wake up the other two. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi only slept at 4 a.m., and they had only slept for 2 hours now, and they were even pulled up. Why is your window broken? Qing Ye asked curiously. Yi Zizi walked out of the room with her eyes closed while hugging onto the little teddy bear. Qing Yutong even wore an eye mask and hugged onto the quilt. After the two walked out of the room, they immediately fell onto the sofa, looking as if they wouldn't get up even if they were beaten to death. Yi Hua walked to the side of the window and lit up a cigarette. Who is it that wants to make a move on them? This is really a bit interesting. Under Qing Ye's various tricks, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi finally put on their clothes and walked out of the room. Yi Zizi was still walking like a little princess, but what was different was that today, she was hugging onto a little teddy bear. Qing Yutong finally returned to normal, and when she wore a long dress, she looked a bit like a fairy. The breakfast in the hotel was all free, and it belonged to the self-service mode. When Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi saw the delicious food, they immediately came back to life. Meanwhile, Yi Hua occupied the seat and continued to act like a master. What is the biggest use of a wife? That is to hug the wife to sleep at night, and serve the wife during the day. That would be meaningless. How could Qing Ye not know Yi Hua's character? She gave Yi Hua a deep-fried dough stick and a bowl of porridge. Okay. Yi Hua took a look at his, then looked at the other threes. What is this for me? Big brother is so stupid, this is breakfast. Yi Zizi said with a smile. Yi Hua glared at her, and the latter immediately shrunk back. Qing Ye laughed. All right, I was just joking with you. I will help you get the breakfast. What do you want to eat? Forget it, I don't have much appetite if I wake up too early. Yihua said faintly, then drank a few mouthfuls of porridge. Qing Yutong sized up the surroundings. Yesterday, the hotel was still filled with people. Why is there a lot less people today? Brother-in-law, don't you feel that this hotel is a bit weird today? Qing Yutong asked curiously. Yihua had felt it a long time ago, but he didn't put it to heart. Suddenly, two men sat behind Yihua's table with breakfast in their hands and whispered to each other. I heard that today's banquet was cancelled, causing me to rush over here in a hurry. I still have to rush back to attend a parent-teacher conference for my child today. Isn't it the same for me? I didn't even participate in the group's expedition yesterday night. It is said that the second young master's balls were burst by someone, that's why today's banquet was cancelled. Is that true or false? His balls were burst by someone? Who is so awesome? The Cultivation World's forum is in an uproar. Someone said that this second young master molested an underage girl. 666, the man who is going to marry the Empress is still like this, awesome. That's right, isn't he afraid that the Empress would roast him? When Yihua heard about the underage girl, he looked towards Yizizi and thought about the assassin from yesterday night. Needless to say, it was definitely done by these two people. Qing Yutong and Yizizi silently ate their breakfast, not knowing what was going on. Chapter 178. What are the arrangements for today? Yihua asked lightly. Qingya wiped her sexy little mouth. I have already contacted them just now. Today, we will be shooting indoors. Tomorrow, we will be shooting outdoors. The two of you are off today. Yutong, take good care of Zizi. All right. Qing Yutong nodded her head. Does Zizi still need someone to look after him? When Yizizi heard that she could play, she became excited again. She felt that the person she trampled yesterday should be a big shot. If she wasn't wrong, there should be more to it. She had to properly discuss with big sister Qing about how to play the person to death. Just thinking about it made her excited. It was a pity that the big bone dragon and gluttonous monster weren't able to come. One day. There was still one more day tomorrow. Can't it be completed within an hour? Yihua found it hard to believe, just taking a photo actually takes 2 days. He could watch many episodes of Calabash Brothers saving Grandpa in the next 2 days. Qingya knew that Yihua was getting impatient, and as if she was coaxing a child, she said, "It will be very quick, it will only take around 10 sets of clothes, and furthermore, you will be able to carry me for the entire journey, that's more like it." Qingya felt a bit of a headache. This husband of mine is too clingy. Looking at his posture, he seems to be wishing that he could hug onto me 24/7. He is becoming more and more adorable, especially when he is putting on a straight face. If Donghuang Baiji were to hear Qingya's inner voice, just thinking about how Donghuang Baiji would react was a bit exciting. Seeing that they were almost done eating, Qing Yutong pulled Yizizi up and said, "We are full, we are going back to our room to sleep. Remember to have the glass changed, it's dangerous." Qingya warned. "All right. Eldest cousin, eldest sister-in-law, Zizi will not accompany you anymore." Yizizi waved the teddy bear in her hand and said with a smile. On the other hand, Qingya was all smiles. Xiao Zizi is truly adorable, scary. In order to obtain more accurate information, Yihua first contacted Wei Chang. "Is there any information?" "Your Honor, give subordinate 1 minute." Wei Chang immediately contacted Death Mage. "Is there any information?" Right now, Death Mage wasn't staying in the park anymore. He was staying in a hotel. Although the hotel wasn't very high class, at least he had a bed. Yes. In the south, Sonia seems to be making a big move. I thought they were going to fight, but half of them left this morning. It was good that there was information, but he was afraid that there would be none. Wei Chang said, "Good. Good job, keep an eye on him." "Yes. Master." Death Mage took a look at Sun Fang who was beside him who was still unconscious, then went back to focusing on playing the game for 100 years. I didn't expect that this kind of information would actually be praised by my master. Not bad. Wei Cheng passed the information back to Yi Hua, and Yi Hua praised Wei Cheng. Finally, Wei Cheng has done his job well. However, I still need to investigate further. Then, Wei Cheng gave the order to Death Mage. Death Mage, who was lying on the bed, naturally accepted the order unconditionally. However, right now, he had a bit of a temper. GGG, Royal Translation, what kind of lousy game is this? It has never King won before. You want to cheat me of my money? I'll uninstall it and leave the mobile game world. After saying that, Death Mage really uninstalled the game. This kind of determination was really scary. Opening up the international news, Death Mage began to skim through it. This is also a skeleton that worries about the world's affairs. Suddenly, an advertisement attracted Death Mage's attention. Good, big scum. I'm scum. I've acted in many dramas, but games. I like to play around with the blue moon, wine, luminous cups, equipment recycling, and earning money as soon as I enter the server. It's not a dream. Death Mage was attracted by the advertisement in front of him. The main thing was that he would be able to earn money by entering the server. Was this game really that powerful? Death Mage, who swore that he would not play mobile games just now, immediately downloaded the game. He felt that the game was not bad, and he rushed to 648 renminbi first. I didn't expect that there would still be a refund. This game is really not bad, it should be said that it is a game with a conscience. Death Mage was very happy. Of course, the character he chose was a warrior. First, he bought all sorts of equipment, followed the quest, and then went on a killing spree. It felt great. *CK, fishing was simply rubbish. Only this playful Lan Yu was interesting. What game is this? Sun Fang suddenly asked as she looked at her phone screen. GGG, Royal Translation, a game that can make money. Sun Fang looked at it and suddenly had an idea. This seemed to be a fighting game. If I can't kill you in real life, can't I kill you in the game? Just you wait, I'll play too. After saying that, Sun Fang leaned against the headboard of the bed and took out her phone to download the game. She even specially asked Death Mage which region he was at, then secretly entered the server and prepared to directly attack the root of the problem. Dong dong dong. A series of knocks sounded from the door. Death Mage, who was currently playing enthusiastically, slammed open the door. Dou Fusher walked into the room with an excited look on his face. Soon after, he covered his face with his hands. I am still a child, is it really alright for you two to be like this? Sun Fang seemed to have become numb as she leaned against the headboard of the bed and asked faintly, what's the matter? Dou Fusher said with a serious expression, sister-in-law, I just did a divination, today, we will have good fortune. Sun Fang silently tapped on the button to top up her account. 648 renminbi was gone. Seeing that the two people on the bed didn't seem to have any intention of getting up, Dou Fusher felt very hurt. Big brother, sister-in-law, I can't keep supporting the two of you forever, there will be a day when I will also run out of money. Ha! 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 The sound of a warrior hacking rang out from the speaker. Dou Fusher was a bit in despair. These two blood-sucking bugs, if we succeed today, big brother, sister-in-law, you don't have to worry about the problem of topping up your account in the future, becoming number one in the entire server would not be a problem at all. As expected, Death Mage and Sun Fang slightly raised their heads. Death Mage thought about becoming number one in the entire server. Sun Fang thought about killing the number one in the entire server. Sun Fang typed on her phone, do it. Dou Fusher was overjoyed, and he hurriedly said, I divine that there will be good fortune coming from the north today, it must be some expert. Big brother, sister-in-law, your battle prowess is very high, as long as we intercept it, you won't have to worry about food and clothing in the future. As long as Sun Fang was able to get rid of the skeletons beside her, she was willing to do anything. Open your mouth. Sun Fang said faintly. Ah! Open your mouth. Dou Fusher helplessly opened his mouth. Sun Fang swung her hand, and Dou Fusher felt that something was swallowed by her. You have already eaten my dying pill. If you dare to lie to me, I will not give you the antidote. Sun Fang shouted out coldly, and at this moment, her sect master's aura exploded out. Dou Fusher immediately swore that he wouldn't lie to anyone. Go out and wait. Sun Fang said coldly. After Dou Fusher left, Sun Fang took out the malt sprout that was hidden in her blanket and ate one. The taste is not bad. GGG, Imperial Translation, this move is brilliant. Sun Fang took a glare at Death Mage. Jijia my ass, hurry up and get to work. After finished speaking, Sun Fang got off the bed and changed her clothes, not even bothering to avoid Death Mage. Death Mage immediately turned his head around. This shameless woman actually dares to seduce me in broad daylight. Although I am just a skeleton, I have trained my hand speed while fishing, and on average, I am able to vibrate 100 times per second. I can control the depth of the vibrations, and I guarantee that you won't be able to let go of the vibrations. After Sun Fang finished wearing her clothes, when she turned her head around and saw Death Mage looking outside the window, she snorted. Chapter 179. The three of them walked out of this ordinary hotel and headed towards the suburbs. Death Mage now knew to wear a mask and gloves when he went out. Actually, these were prepared by Sun Fang to prevent unnecessary trouble. The driver was a little worried. These three people are so weird. The young man in the front seems to be calculating something with his right hand, but why does it feel like his hand is cramping and his complexion doesn't look good? There is a black robe wearing a mask sitting at the back. The moment he got on the car, he was playing a game on his phone. The sound was so loud that it would let out weird sounds from time to time, causing one's hair to stand on end. Only this woman was so beautiful, like a fairy. However, she was also playing on her phone after getting on the car. Listening to the sound of the game, it seems to be the same game as the black robe. Could it be the playful Anyu? The more they drove, the more remote the car became. The driver's forehead was filled with sweat. Could it be that she is a robber? Stop! Dou Fusher immediately shouted. The driver suddenly stopped, causing the two behind to crash into each other. However, they didn't mind. Sun Fang pulled on Death Mage's robe and said, "Transfer 2,000 to me." Sun Fang didn't have any money to top up, so how could she kill him? Death Mage wasn't a stingy person and directly transferred 4,000 over. Anyways, he was going to be rich later. The three of them got off the car. The driver stepped on the accelerator. He didn't want to see the three of them anymore. Dou Fusher took out a compass and shouted, "Find the dragon by looking at the coiled mountain. Every coiled mountain is a checkpoint. If there are 1,000 locks on the door, there will definitely be a king living here." Death Mage didn't understand. Sun Fang slowly raised her head and asked, "Isn't this the chant for finding tombs? What does it have to do with this robbery?" Dou Fusher laughed, "Sister-in-law, this chant of mine is very flexible, it can even be used in casinos. Aren't you a ghost hunter?" Sun Fang laughed and continued playing her game. "Sister-in-law, these days aren't good. Other than catching ghosts, I also need to earn some extra money. I just go to some tombs and sell some jewelry to earn some money." Dou Fusher let out a long sigh. Novels were all full of lies. How could there be so many tombs? Even if there were, they would have been emptied long ago. If he went there, he wouldn't even be able to find anything. He wanted to subdue some ghosts in the tombs, but he didn't even see a single strand of hair. How could he not be angry? Sun Fang received the money that Death Mage had transferred to her. "This skeleton is quite generous, I didn't think too much about it and charged 4,000 renminbi to Death Mage. Combine equipment." The three of them walked further and further away, and Dou Fusher shouted with the compass in his hand, "Right here." Death Mage and Sun Fang sized up the place. "What kind of place is this? Rundown factory? Why did you bring us here? Is there gold underground? Sun Fang asked in a sweet voice. Dou Fusher raised his index finger and shook it. Big brother, sister-in-law, there is no gold on the ground, but there is gold in the sky. Death Mage kept his phone and said, GGG, the Imperial translation, interesting. Sun Fang also felt it, and a look of disdain appeared on her face. Bang! Dou Fusher watched as his big brother and sister-in-law soared into the clouds and shouted, Big brother. Sister-in-law, bring little brother up, I don't know how to fly. Death Mage and Sun Fang, who had soared into the clouds, stared at the empty space in front of them. Death's scythe immediately appeared in Sun Fang's hands, and with a flick of her hand, the purple gold treasured sword appeared in Sun Fang's hands. Who dares to stop Voidless Realm? Immediately, 50 people who wore red gowns could be seen appearing in the empty space, and among them, 30 of them were carrying boxes made from top-notch mahogany. Without needing to think too much, one would be able to guess what was inside the boxes. The other 20 people were guards, and when they saw a black-gowned man and a woman appearing, they immediately pulled out their swords. However, one shouldn't look down on those 30 people. They put down the betrothal gifts on their shoulders and pulled out their weapons one after another. Hearing that the other party had revealed their name, Sun Fang, who was the sect master, naturally knew what kind of existence Voidless Realm was. Trying to provoke them was no different from courting death. However, she didn't expect that the ones who wanted to rob them would be them. This is truly the will of the heavens. But what did that matter? I hope that this Voidless Realm has some ability and snatch their goods, then send out an even more powerful existence to get rid of me and Death Mage. Death Mage took out his phone unhurriedly and started typing. Then, his phone lit up, and colorful words appeared on the screen, robbery. However, Sun Fang's speed was even faster, and she had already rushed into the crowd. Sun Fang herself was a sect master, and adding on the fact that she had broken through that day, her current strength was completely capable of fighting against Xiao Yi, and she might even be able to gain the upper hand. If she also had an ancient godly item, she might even be able to defeat Xiao Yi. However, Death Mage had the ability to instantly kill Xiao Yi. There was still a gap between them. Looking at Sun Fang dancing in the crowd, blood splattering all over the place, and limbs flying all over the place, Death Mage was a bit dazed. At this moment, this woman suddenly looked so beautiful, especially when the enemy's blood splattered onto her spotlessly white cheeks, and her inhumane gaze, it's too alluring. Dou Fusher still didn't know what was happening in the sky, and he was anxiously waiting below. When he raised his head to take a look, a black dot suddenly appeared in the sky. Dou Fusher wrinkled his brows. What is that black dot? As the black dot got closer and closer, Dou Fusher was startled. That black dot is actually a severed arm. Dou Fusher immediately dodged, and soon after, even more severed arms appeared in the sky, frightening Dou Fusher to the point that he hid in a corner and shivered. This malicious ghost couple is too terrifying. In the blink of an eye, only 10 people remained out of the 50 people. Sun Fang felt very happy in her heart, and the pain that she had been suppressing in her heart exploded out at this moment, and she felt a lot more comfortable. You all sure have guts. Not only did you all steal Voidless Realm's goods, you all even killed Voidless Realm's people, just wait for your deaths. One of the men shouted out loudly, then nodded his head towards the other men, then scattered in all directions to go back and report what happened. Sun Fang swung her slender hand, and the purple gold treasured sword transformed into a rainbow and pierced through one of the men's body. However, the other men were unable to be killed. Death Mage was very disdainful. What bullshit Voidless Realm, my master is able to exterminate you all with just a single move, and his honor is able to exterminate you all with just a single word. And me. GGG Imperial Translation, Tentacles of Darkness. Countless big, round, and thick tentacles appeared out of thin air and attacked towards all directions. Back then, this move scared Xiao Yi to the point that he had to flee in all directions. Facing against the unparalleled Death Mage, Voidless Realm's people were unable to resist at all. Their bodies were pierced through, and in the end, they were devoured by the tentacles. This move is very similar to Wei Chang. This was the first time that Sun Fang saw Death Mage using a technique, and she thought to herself, what would happen if I were to face Death Mage's technique head-on? If my speed isn't fast enough, I will end up the same as them. This damned skeleton, how can he be so powerful? After recalling back the tentacles of darkness, Death Mage looked towards Sun Fang. Are you afraid of so many tentacles? Just think about the consequences. Death Mage waved his hand, and the 15 chests of betrothal gifts that were in the air descended onto the ground along with Death Mage. Sun Fang let out a sigh, then descended onto the ground as well. Upon seeing that, Dou Fushi immediately ran over. Big brother, sister-in-law, you two are too awesome. Chapter 180. Looking at the ancient godly item in the last chest, Dou Fushi was already scared to the point that he took a few steps back. If it was gold, it would still be fine, but the more he looked at it, the more shocked he became. Sun Fang walked to the last chest and saw that there was a feather fan inside. Sun Fang held onto the feather fan and fanned it towards the abandoned factory. Boom! The entire factory rose from the ground. Dou Fushi was dumbfounded. As Sun Fang fanned the fan again, the factory that rose from the ground suddenly fell down, raising a cloud of dust. When the cloud of dust dispersed, the entire factory had already turned into a thin biscuit. As expected of an ancient godly item, God Leaf Fan. Sun Fang said. Dou Fushi was already scared to the point that he sat on the ground and asked, just whose goods did you guys steal? Voidless Realm. Sun Fang lightly swayed the God Leaf Fan in her hand. Dou Fushi was confused. I have never heard of such a sect before. A big shot that is above aristocratic families. Sun Fang added with a smile. Pooh. Dou Fushi felt that the world was spinning. I have only heard of aristocratic families before, and now, I even stole a big shot that is above aristocratic families. I'm finished. Let me die from the poison, perhaps this kind of death will be painless. Suddenly, Sun Fang's gaze turned cold, and she fanned the God Leaf Fan in her hand towards Death Mage. Dou Fushi, who was at the side, was stupefied. Just what is going on between the two of them? Just a moment ago, they even joined hands to steal. Could it be that sister-in-law is going to take everything for herself? That's why she killed my big brother, but why didn't she kill me? Could it be that sister-in-law took a fancy to my beauty and killed my big brother just to let me take over? Damn, sister-in-law is such a woman. Dou Fushi will also reluctantly accept your love. Looking at Death Mage, who turned into a shooting star in the sky, a trace of an arc finally appeared on Sun Fang's face. However, in less than a second, the arc disappeared. Because that skeletal hand wrapped around my waist again, and that skeletal face is also getting closer to me. I didn't expect that even an ancient godly item would be unable to do anything to it. Let me faint. But this time, I won't faint. I can even feel my lips. I really want to die. Dou Fushi turned his face away. Big brother is too awesome. I have decided to reject sister-in-law's love and follow big brother's footsteps. Eldest sister-in-law, eldest brother is handsome and confident. You should forget younger brother. Younger brother can't withstand your love. She looked at her sister-in-law hugging her brother's neck as if they were in a passionate kiss. I'm still a child. Is it really okay for you to be like this? Shouldn't he be worried about the revenge of others? In any case, it's good to at least put on an act. It's not like I'm worried anymore. He. Imperial translation, the taste is not bad. Sun Fang flew into a rage out of humiliation. After being forcefully kissed by a skeleton so many times, how could she not be angry? He raised the God Leaf Fan in his hand again. However, Death Mage immediately grabbed onto her wrist and typed, "This lousy fan is useless against me, you can just be at ease and be my wife." Honey. Since when did I become your wife? You shameless skeleton. However, when he thought about it, wouldn't it be more helpful if he had a deeper understanding of it? At that time, he would know its weakness and kill it in one strike. This idea seems to be pretty good. I don't refute the word wife anymore. Death Mage waved his hand and kept the 15 boxes of betrothal gifts. I definitely have to keep one for myself, and I also have to give some to my master. After all, his honor is so concerned about his subordinate's subordinate. Although these betrothal gifts aren't anything good, I still have to express my respect and worship towards his honor. Ying family. Right now, with Ying Jingshan in the lead and Ying family's relatives standing behind him, all of them were dressed in gorgeous clothing as they walked out of the city to welcome Ying Jingshan. What was rare was that Ying Kangshi was also within the group. Ying Kangshi's face was pale and weak, and he already looked like a father-in-law. Little brother, if you are not feeling well, you can rest in the house, big brother will help you. Marquis Ying said with a slight smile. However, in his heart, he was feeling uneasy. The assassin that I sent out yesterday still hasn't returned, most likely, an accident happened to him. Ying Kangshi sneered, big brother doesn't have to worry, I will take care of my own matters. But, what are you going to do now that you are like this? Marquis Ying said with heartache. Ying Kangshi tightly clenched his fists. The enmity of my heart being destroyed is absolutely irreconcilable, it is definitely you. At this moment, Ying Xiang slowly walked out from the group. Big brother, the auspicious hour is already over, why isn't the assassin here yet? Ying Jingshan looked towards the distance and said faintly, let's wait for a while more. After around half an hour passed, everyone from Ying family was getting a bit impatient. Setting up such a big formation is already giving a lot of face, but the other party actually didn't even send a single person over? This is going too far. I'm afraid that the Empress already knows about what happened last night, yet she didn't even give us a greeting and told us to wait. She is truly not putting us, Ying family, in her eyes. Ying Shang couldn't hold it in anymore and started scolding. Ying Jingshan wrinkled his brows and called out, go outside and see if there are any abnormalities. Yes. Ying Ho could be seen rushing out with the Imperial Guards. Death Mage, who was currently taking a taxi back to the hotel, sensed Ying Ho's actions, but he didn't take it to heart. The game is more important. Not long after, Ying Ho discovered the corpses of the Voidless Realms people. Just who dares to disrupt the marriage between the two families? That person is going against me, and those who go against me will never have a good ending. When Ying Ho hurriedly went back to report what happened, Ying Jingshan took a deep breath. My youngest son was crippled, the betrothal gift was stolen, and the person was killed. This matter isn't as simple as it seems on the surface. Voidless Realm. Right now, Donghuang Baiji was currently sitting on the purple gold throne and discussing about what happened last night with the 8 elders. Your Majesty, I truly didn't expect that Ying family's second young master would have such a moral character. Subordinate has failed in his duty. Yuan prostrated on the ground and said with an ashamed look on his face. Xing Han said gravely, Your Majesty, although this second young master's moral character is extremely bad, from this matter, it can be seen that someone is trying to disrupt the marriage. The biggest suspect would be Ji family. A bald elder walked out from the crowd and said. His name was He Xian. Donghuang Baiji didn't say anything, she didn't put this matter in her heart. She was only thinking about her daughter's problem. Yesterday, I seemed to have hurt her heart. But right now, the betrothal gift has already been sent out, what should we do? Yuan said anxiously, as if his empress was unable to marry a man. Xing Han begged, Your Majesty, Ying family's second young master is unable to be a man, we can only choose someone else. Your Majesty, what do you think? Donghuang Baiji said faintly, You guys can do as you see fit. Everyone was overjoyed. Your Majesty has grown up now, and she knows what is important. Wrong, Donghuang Baiji just gave up. Chapter 181. Revenge. Right now, Donghuang Baiji's mind was filled with thoughts of revenge. However, the original revenge plan was to appear in front of that man from above and let him know what kind of woman he had missed back then, a woman that everyone wanted. It's a pity that you missed it, so don't even think about getting it again. Right now, Dong Huang Baiji's mind was filled with Yi Hua's emotionless face. Report. A guard ran into the hall at top speed. What is it? Dong Huang Baiji asked coldly. I just received news from Ying family, the betrothal gifts that were sent over to Ying family. The Imperial Guard didn't dare to say anything, because such a thing had never happened before. Did he fall into the water? Yuanda asked in a deep voice. Xing Han asked curiously, you fell into the river? He Xian was speechless. May I ask what's the difference between the two? The winner is on the sea, and if he falls, he will fall into the sea. Yuanda and Xing Han looked at He Xian at the same time. Dare I ask you, what's the difference? The betrothal gifts have been stolen. Everyone was killed. As the guard revealed the truth, the entire palace instantly quietened down. Even the sound of a needle dropping on the floor could be heard clearly. He actually dares to snatch Voidless Realms things, and after snatching them, he even killed all of them. This slap didn't hurt, but it was very loud. Dong Huang Baiji immediately burst out with fierce killing intent, and her tones seemed to be able to freeze the air. Who did this? The guards were all frightened by the Empress's aura. No. I don't know. Yuanda cupped his hands and said, Your Majesty, this matter must be related to last night. As long as we capture those two girls, the truth will come to light. Remember. No one is allowed to trample on the Dong Huang family. Dong Huang Baiji shouted out gravely. Who would be able to stop a woman with such an imposing aura? Yes. The 8 old men shouted in unison. Just as the 8 old men were about to leave, a maid hurriedly ran in. Seeing this maid, Dong Huang Baiji's brows tightly wrinkled. This servant greets your majesty. Dong Huang Baiji had a bad feeling, what's going on? His Highness, what's wrong with her? Dong Huang Baiji's beautiful eyes widened, and a powerful pressure burst out from her body, causing the entire palace to tremble. This was even more terrifying than before. His Highness has disappeared. Dong Huang Baiji clenched her fists tightly and shouted out angrily, Stop everything. Bring Ali back for me. Yuanda hurriedly said, Your Majesty, His Royal Highness must be playing around and hiding somewhere. I will order some people to look for him. An invisible hand instantly grabbed Yuanda's neck, and his whole body was suspended in the air. I'll say it again. Everyone, go and find Ali. Those who disobey will be beheaded. Dong Huang Baiji frowned, her beautiful lips were slightly trembling, and her beautiful eyes were like flames. Ali was her lifeblood. Without Ali, she would have died a long time ago. With a casual fling of his hand, Yuanda crashed into the side of the palace like a cannonball. Listen up, all of you. There are some things that are not up to you all to decide. Dong Huang Baiji shouted out gravely, then disappeared from the palace and arrived at her daughter's courtyard. The remaining 7 elders didn't dare say anything else. The Empress' fury this time was inconceivable to all of them, but it had also indirectly taught them a lesson. In the end, they were only subordinates. Don't forget who you are. Right now, Dong Huangli had long left Voidless Realm and appeared at the desert outside. Under the scorching sun, a small figure was silently walking on the desert. While throwing a small stone, the figure said with a childish voice, Mother will be happy if Ali is gone. Wiping off the sweat on her forehead, Dong Huangli raised her head and looked at the sun, so hot, if it rains right now, it would be great. Boom, 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 thunder actually sounded out in the clear sky. A black cloud suddenly appeared, and a violent wind and heavy rain instantly fell down. Dong Huangli was stupefied, and she immediately felt very dizzy. She closed her eyes and held onto her head as she ran madly. Ali doesn't want the rain anymore, Ali wants to leave this desert. By little Ali went into a daze. The rain seems to have stopped, where am I? There is a road, there is also a prairie. But, Ali's head feels very dizzy, I can't take it anymore. Ali is going to faint. Little Ali was finally unable to resist the dizziness and fell onto the roadside. At this moment, a godly chariot came over from afar. Big brother. Quickly look at the roadside, there is a person. The young man who was sitting on the front passenger seat said, and his head was dyed red. The big brother who was driving the car was the same as well, just that, it wasn't red, but red. From the looks of it, the two of them should be from the same family. After parking the car at the roadside, the two of them took a look at Ali who had fainted. Big brother, what should we do? What else can we do? Why are you so stupid? Bring her onto the car. As the big brother, he felt very pained at why his little brother was so stupid. This little girl couldn't have gotten lost, right? After carrying Dong Huangli onto the car, the little brother asked curiously. The big brother lit up a cigarette. It should be, let's ask the little girl when she wakes up. I reckon that her parents are quite anxious right now. Big brother, you are such a good person, I admire you so much. The big brother couldn't help but give the little brother a head explode. Are you stupid? This girl is dressed gorgeously, she definitely isn't a child from an ordinary family. If we were to find her parents, wouldn't her parents give us a reward? The little brother immediately came to a realization, then raised up his thumb. Big brother is wise. This little brother is completely convinced. Learn more. Yes, yes, yes. Not knowing how long had passed, Dong Huangli faintly woke up. Rubbing onto her head, Dong Huangli said with a childish voice, Ali, where is this? The two young men in front were startled, then immediately stopped the car at the roadside. Little friend, you woke up? The big brother asked with a smile. Ali pursed her lips. Uncle Green, hello, big brother. The little brother slapped onto his thigh and laughed loudly. Uncle Green, haha. The big brother stretched out his hand and slapped onto Ali's thigh. What do you guys know, this is the most popular color this year. Ali sat on the car obediently and sized up Ali with her big eyes curiously. Little friend, what is your name? Big brother Green asked with a smile. Uncle Green, my name is Ali. The little brother's thigh was almost swollen from the slap. Why is Uncle Red crying? Ali asked curiously. Big brother Green said with a smile, Uncle Red's wife made him a cuckold. Dong Huangli was confused. The red-haired little brother went into a daze for a moment, feeling that something was wrong. Ali, where are your daddy and mommy? Big brother Green asked. Such an adorable little girl, I have to quickly return her to her parents' side so that I can earn some money. Ali pouted her small mouth, I hate them. The green and red duo sighed. It seems like she ran away in a fit of pique. This kind of little friend should be fine after coaxing her a bit. The red-haired little brother wiped onto his tears. Ali, what you are doing is wrong. Your daddy and mommy must be very worried about you. They wouldn't be worried about Ali. While speaking, Ali's eyes became red. Chapter 182. Yes, thank you, Uncle Green. Ali rubbed her eyes. This was the first time she had eaten a lollipop, and it felt great. While eating, Ali felt very hungry. Embarrassed, he said, Uncle Green, Uncle Red, Ali is hungry. No problem. What do you want to eat? Ali pursed her lips. Ali wants to eat McDonald's. The big brother and the little brother looked at each other. This McDonald's was not cheap, but as long as they took good care of this little devil, they would definitely be able to recoup the cost. Not only did they recoup their costs, but they could also make a huge profit. Right now, the most important task was to go to the city. The surrounding counties were all small and couldn't satisfy the little ancestors' requirements. Big brother, the journey to the city is very long, we have to refuel. Little brother Red took out his wallet, and within the wallet, there was only a single red banknote and a few shriveled up 5 renminbi, 1 renminbi, etc. Big brother Green made up his mind. If you don't sacrifice the child, you can't catch the wolf. This time, he put in a lot of effort. He took out his wallet and handed it to his underling. Give me some money. When he opened the wallet, he saw 5 red notes inside. Little brother Red exclaimed, "You borrowed 50 yuan from me this morning. You actually have 500 yuan. Is that so? I might have forgotten." Big brother Green was a bit embarrassed. Along the way, he added 200 yuan to the gas tank and instantly regained his confidence. He charged all the way to the city. Dong Huangli leaned on the window of the car and curiously sized up the steel city. Dong Huangli's gaze was filled with curiosity. The outside world is much better than Voidless Realm, there are all sorts of strange things here. The two people who were driving also looked around curiously. The way the people in the city dressed was so old-fashioned and not classy at all. They should learn from us and dye their hair in bright colors. Only then would they be able to attract the opposite sex. All the girls in the village were stunned. Wherever he went, he would be the center of attention, even in the city. After parking the car, the Green and Red brothers got out of the car. This immediately caused a commotion, and all the young men and women passing by looked towards them. Big brother Green said proudly, "I told you to dye your hair green, but you didn't listen. Look at the people in the city, they are all dumbfounded. Big brother, I feel that they are looking down on us." Little brother Red felt that there was something wrong with the way the people in the city were looking at him. Big brother Green clicked his tongue. This is jealousy. If I spun Thomas, I would definitely blind their eyes. Wow, is this McDonald's? It's exactly the same as the picture. Little Ollie jumped out of the car and looked at the McDonald's in front of her. Her big eyes were full of amazement. However, when little Ollie appeared, the eyes of the people on the street became even more curious. Two non-mainstream people with such a cute child, could they be human traffickers? However, seeing that the child was bouncing around, it didn't seem like he was threatened. Instead, the two non-mainstream people had bitter expressions on their faces. The three of them walked into the restaurant. McDonald's business was very good. They even had to queue up. "Ali, I want to go and line up." Dong Huangli was very polite and did not cut the line. Dong Huangli stood behind a big sister, and that look of anticipation on her face caused everyone in the shop to have the urge to hug her. The Green and Red brothers were like bodyguards, waiting for the payment. After queuing for more than 10 minutes, it was finally little Ali's turn, but the platform was too high, little Ali couldn't see it. "Uncle Green, Ali can't see." Ali turned around and looked at Big Brother Green pitifully. Big Brother Green let out a sigh, and carried the little ancestor on his shoulder. "Wah, so many delicious food, I want a McFlurry, I want a cola, I want a spicy chicken burger, I want a lot of chicken wings and drumsticks, and also chicken rolls, and also corn cups, and also, looking at the cashier who was quickly tallying the food, little brother Red couldn't help but look at his wallet, then looked at his big brother. Big brother Green let out a breath and let the little ancestor eat first. When her parents find out that the two of us treat her so well, they will definitely give us more money. Very quickly, little brother Red carried the food onto the table. Dong Huangli was already impatient, and she was wolfing down the food. If Dong Huang Baiji were to see her daughter eating like this, she would definitely teach her a lesson. "Ali, after you finish eating, let's go and look for Daddy and Mommy, okay?" Big brother Green said with a light smile. The two of them only asked for a cup of cola, because they couldn't bear to part with the cola. The cola inside the restaurant is very expensive. Right now, the most important thing is to feed the little ancestor until she is full. Dong Huangli was already mesmerized by the food in front of her, and she said casually, "All right." Hearing that Dong Huangli agreed, the two brothers let out a breath of relief. This little ancestor really can't afford it. Half an hour later, little Ali rubbed onto her stomach. Ali is full. Green and Red brothers looked at the leftovers on the little ancestor's stomach and wondered how she managed to stuff all the food into her stomach. However, it's fine as long as she is full. "Ali, let's go and look for Daddy and Mommy right now, okay?" Big brother Green said while enduring the pain in his heart. "Just this one meal alone cost us an entire month's worth of expenses." Dong Huangli pouted her small mouth. "Ali doesn't want to go back." "Pfft. If you don't want to go back, how are we going to collect the money from you? Little brother Red hurriedly persuaded, Ali, if you don't go back, Daddy and Mommy will be worried. Dong Huangli remained silent. Will Mother be worried about me? She shouldn't be worried, after all, she doesn't like Ali anymore. Ali is so sad. Thinking up to here, Ali cried. What the hell, just what is going on? Green and Red brothers were immediately stupefied, and there were already a lot of people who were looking towards Ali's direction. Little ancestor, don't cry, the ones who are going to cry are us. Uncle Green, Uncle Red, Ali has troubled the two of you, Ali can just leave by herself. Dong Huangli wiped away her tears, then jumped down from the stool with a dispirited look on her face. Right now, it wasn't a question of whether he would cause trouble or not. He had already invested, and he couldn't let it go to waste. The Green and Red brothers immediately followed. Ali, you are thinking too much. How could it be troublesome? Big brother Green squeezed out a smile and said. Li choked a few times and suddenly thought of Aunt Qing. Aunt Qing even said that she wanted to bring me out to play. I might as well go look for Aunt Qing. Ali wants to go back, damn, the little ancestor has finally thought it through. That's great. Big brother Green hurriedly asked, Ali, where do you live? Long'an City. Dong Huangli remembered that Aunt Qing had said before that she was staying at a bar in Long'an City. Hearing this name, the Green and Red brothers were dumbfounded. They had never heard of this name before. Let's check where this Long'an City is, I feel that it shouldn't be too far away. Big brother Green said joyfully. At the very least, I should be able to get 1,000 RMB as a token of gratitude, right? Little brother Green took out his phone and searched for Long'an City. Very quickly, the results came out. Big brother, straighten out your tongue for me. This Long'an City, what's the matter? Long'an City is 3,000 plus km away from here, and it is in the south, 3,000 plus km. Big brother Green was simply about to spurt out blood. The toll fee and the gas fee is not a small amount. Little brother Red said in a low voice, Big brother, how about we just forget about it, this is not worth it at all. Big brother Green let out a heavy sigh. Right now, I have already invested close to 400 RMB, if I were to give up halfway, then all of it would be gone to waste. Chapter 183. I still have a card here, there is 5,000 RMB inside, it is enough for us to go to Long'an City. Big brother Green could be seen taking out a bank card. Little brother Red was stupefied. Big brother, does that mean that out of your 5,000 RMB, 4,900 RMB is mine? Big brother Green patted his younger brother's shoulder, don't worry about these details, as long as we complete this business, we will be rich. Big brother, let's break up. What the F***, drive the car and go to the bank to withdraw money first. Big brother Green slapped the car. Brother, I don't have a driver's license. This big city is not like the countryside. I told you to get a driver's license, but you didn't listen. Didn't all the money go to your place? Little brother Red said while feeling wronged. I'm doing this for your own good. I'm saving it for you to marry a wife in the future. Dong Huangli, who was standing at the side, thought to herself, Uncle Green and Uncle Red must not have it easy for them. I will definitely repay them properly. However, the thing that Big brother Green was most proud of in his entire life was the fact that he was able to save Dong Huangli. Driving to the bank, Big brother Green ran to the ATM machine. However, he didn't expect that all of the ATM machines were out of cash, so he could only go to the counter to withdraw money. However, there were a lot of people inside, so he had to queue up. Remembering that he wasn't in the parking lot, he ran back to the counter and said, "Watch out, I'm going to withdraw money. If the traffic police come, inform me immediately." Little brother Red nodded his head, then began to be vigilant. If I were to be given a ticket, then the gains would not make up for the losses. I heard that there are all sorts of tickets in big cities, and I heard that if I were to randomly park my car in the countryside, I would be giving out all sorts of tickets. When Big Brother Green walked into the bank, he immediately attracted the attention of the security guards. This fellow had a bad face. While waiting in line to get the ticket, Big Brother Green was very depressed. He took out a cigarette and lit it up. The people around him looked at him with disdain. Little Brother Red, who was outside, looked around. Suddenly, from the rear-view mirror, Little Brother Red saw a police motorbike driving over, and the police motorbike had already started to collect the tickets. Immediately, Little Brother Red's expression changed as he hurriedly opened the door, got off the motorbike, and ran towards the bank. Upon rushing into the bank, Little Brother Red immediately saw that lump of dazzling green hair, then shouted out loudly, "Big Brother, the police are here." Following Little Brother Red's explosive shout, everyone in the hall went into a daze. After remaining silent for a second, the hall instantly burst into screams. "It's a robbery!" Big Brother Green was shocked. He immediately stood up and pulled his little brother along as he ran. "What are you waiting for? Quickly run, it's a robbery." The two of them quickly ran out of the bank, only to see the security behind them rushing over. "Don't run, catch them." Big Brother Green was dumbfounded. "Why did you catch me? Are you crazy?" However, when he saw the look in the eyes of the two traffic police officers, Big Brother Green instinctively wanted to run. He had fought many times in the countryside. After getting into the car, Big Brother Green immediately drove the car away. The two traffic policemen behind him were stunned for a moment, and immediately started chasing after him with their sirens. "And report to the command center." Dong Huangli, who was sleeping at the back, was also woken up by the commotion. While she was drowsily rubbing her eyes, Dong Huangli heard the sound of police sirens coming from the back. Opening the window to take a look, Dong Huangli raised her small hand and shouted out, "Hello, police uncle." The faces of the two traffic policemen behind them changed drastically. There was actually a little girl waving her hand for help. These two were not only robbers, but they also kidnapped hostages. Big case. Big Brother Green snorted coldly. "In the countryside, I'm the racing god of Mount Dongming. If you can see my taillights, you win." "Brother, calm down. We're being chased by the police." Big Brother Green said in a deep voice, "To be a person, one must have the heart to win, otherwise, what's the difference between you and a salted fish?" "Big Brother." Little Brother Red was about to cry. To be honest, Big Brother Green's driving skills were indeed not bad, or perhaps it should be said that his luck was off the charts. He actually managed to get rid of the police. After stopping the car outside the suburbs, Big Brother Green saw that his little brother was very quiet. "Don't worry, this is all a misunderstanding, let's listen to some music and relax our mood." Big Brother Green patted onto his little brother's shoulder and said consolingly. Then, he turned on the radio. "Right now, an important news is being broadcasted. At 3 p.m. today, two men who were dressed strangely attempted to rob and even kidnapped a little girl. The two men were discovered by two traffic policemen who were on duty, and a chase started in the city. The suspects' driving skills are outstanding, and they managed to escape from the chase. The police have already issued an arrest warrant, and the suspect is driving a Wuling Hongguang. The license plate number is ****************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************̈ discover the two men, they should immediately report to the police. The two men are considered to be dangerous. The old drivers who were listening to the news were all greatly astonished. F***K, what a godly car. Awesome. Please acknowledge me as your teacher. To actually use a Wuling Hongguang to escape. What a talent. Right now, the car was completely silent. Dong Huangli said in a low voice, "Uncle Green, Uncle Red, let's surrender." Two streams of tears flowed out from Little Brother Red's eyes. "In the morning, I went out in high spirits, and in just a few hours, I became a wanted criminal." Big Brother Green silently took out a cigarette. Surrender? Even if he had to turn himself in, he had to send little Ali home safely. "Ali, don't worry, Uncle Green will definitely send you home." Big Brother Green flicked away the cigarette butt in his hand, and said in a deep voice. Looking at his big brother who was on the left, Little Brother Red suddenly felt that his big brother's entire body was emitting a golden light, just like a monk who had descended to the mortal world. Go and get the car plate number, we will take the village road to the south. Big Brother Green was still very smart, they definitely couldn't use the highway and the national highway now. Big Brother, please accept my bow. Big Brother Green was very gratified. We will live and die together. Can you send me home first? I'm scared. Big Brother Green raised his hand and slapped, look at you. After taking down the car plate, Dong Huangli continued on her way. Dong Huangli felt that she was a disaster. Her mother doesn't even love her, yet, when she goes out, she still harms others. Uncle Green, Uncle Red, Ali has let you two down. Dong Huangli said while choking with sobs. Little Brother Red said with a slight smile, Ali, don't worry, compared to us, your daddy and mommy are even more anxious. Dong Huang Baiji was indeed very anxious. The anger of an empress is not a joke. In just a short period of time, the empress turned the entire voidless realm upside down. Right now, I can be sure that my daughter is no longer in voidless realm. The outside world is so big, and Ali is not even 3 years old yet, if something were to happen to her. Dong Huang Baiji didn't dare to continue thinking about it, and tears of regret flowed out from her eyes. I was too strict with my daughter. Soon after, Dong Huang Baiji gave an order to the entire voidless realm to find Ali at all costs. However, everyone in voidless realm was curious about one thing. Who is this Ali? No one knows who spread the news, but this Ali is called Dong Huangli, and she is the empress's daughter. This news shocked everyone in voidless realm. The empress actually has a daughter, and no one knows about this matter. If that is the case, who is Dong Huangli's father? Who is the empress's husband? Illegitimate daughter. Everyone realized the seriousness of this matter. Dong Huang family is going to have to bear the blame of everyone, especially the empress. Ever since the empress ascended to the throne, she had always been the synonym of holy and dignified. Right now, an illegitimate daughter appeared, and this image of Dong Huang family immediately collapsed. Not only the empress, the entire voidless realm is going to be implicated, and the entire voidless realm might even be pulled down from the altar. The 5 influential families in the north are eyeing voidless realm covetously. How could Dong Huang Baiji not know about the consequences? However, so what? In this life, I am only living for Ali. Without Ali's fame, what's the use? I have already endured for 3 years. Let the world know then. I, Dong Huang Baiji, have a daughter. Her name is Dong Huangli. Chapter 184. Dong Huang Baiji was a single mother who had to endure enormous pressure to give birth to her child, and because of that, she had no choice but to lock her child up. Only Dong Huang Baiji herself knew of that kind of pain. How could it be that Dong Huang Baiji didn't want her daughter to enjoy the happiness that people of the same age as her? However, for the sake of the entire voidless realm, Dong Huang Baiji had to endure it time and time again. However, Dong Huang Baiji couldn't endure it anymore. The pressure in his heart completely exploded. Whoever dared to make irresponsible remarks behind his back, he would kill them. For the time being, this news was only spread within voidless realm. However, not long from now, this news would spread throughout the entire cultivation world. You, the second young master of the Ying family, are a fart in the eyes of the eunuch? Even the empress has an illegitimate daughter, yet you're still covering the sky and covering the earth in search of her. Comparatively speaking, Yi Hua's current situation was actually quite miserable. He had to take photos like a robot, and he had to wear all kinds of smiles. He even had to listen to the words of a photographer. Don't you think it's infuriating? If it wasn't for the fact that he could hug this silly woman, he would have quit long ago. But then again, Qingye, who was wearing a wedding dress, was truly beautiful to the point of exploding. Yi Hua decided that in this lifetime, he would properly collect this woman and let her accompany him until the end of time. However, when Yi Hua thought about how he had to film till night time, he almost couldn't hold it in anymore. On the other hand, Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi weren't so particular about their attire. The two of them were lying on a bench on the beach. The older one was wearing a sexy bikini, and the younger one was wearing a cute bikini. While drinking fruit juice, the two of them were enjoying the gazes of countless people. Yi Zizi hugged onto her teddy bear and said in boredom, "Big sister Qing, let's find something to do, it's so boring, we have already been sitting here for so long, and not a single master came to provoke us, what else can I do?" Qin Yutong, who was wearing sunglasses, let out a long sigh. "I am already dressed so sexily, and yet, there is actually no reaction at all. Could it be that all of them knew that I was digging a pit for myself, and all of them are extremely smart?" Yi Zizi smiled mysteriously. "Sister Qing, Zizi has a good idea." "What good idea? Do you still remember the conversation between the two men this morning? We trampled on a big shot last night, and he even sent people to kill us yesterday." With regards to the assassin from last night, Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi had a tacit understanding. Qin Yutong naturally knew that Yi Zizi was not an ordinary person, and to be precise, all the people that were by her brother-in-law's side were not simple. Similarly, Yi Zizi also knew that Qin Yutong was not an ordinary person. Qin Yutong nodded her head. "I remember, that assassin was really stupid, he had simply lost the face of the assassin world." Big sister Qing, I am not talking about assassins, then what is it about?" "Sister Qing is so stupid. Let's go and find that idiot from yesterday." Yi Zizi already had a plan. It would definitely be fun. If it wasn't fun, it would be free. Qin Yutong came to a sudden realization, then hugged onto Yi Zizi. "My Zizi is really too smart. Woo woo woo, I'm going to suffocate to death." The surrounding people were dumbfounded. They really wanted to turn into a little Lolita and be pressed into the arms of a beautiful woman. Then, quickly think of a way, how are we going to get caught? Qin Yutong was already impatient, this is so exciting. Yi Zizi looked at Qin Yutong's development, then looked at her own, and felt that it was so unbalanced. Don't look anymore. When you grow up, it will definitely be turbulent. Qin Yutong pinched the little fellow's face. She was completely unaware that Yi Zizi could only grow to this size, and her words were a bit hurtful. Yi Zizi pursed her lips and became unhappy. "Big sister, give me a kiss." Many men walked with their backs bent, some sat down awkwardly, and some looked up at the sky. A child's temper came and went quickly. "Big sister Qing, let's go to sea." "Good idea, let's go out to sea." Finished speaking, the two rented a luxurious yacht and went out to sea. After that, the yacht stopped at the surface of the sea and waited for people to come and catch them. While lying at the front of the yacht, Qin Yutong was a bit sleepy. "Zizi, we have already waited for an hour, and we still don't see anyone coming, the sun is about to set." Yi Zizi also felt that this was not a solution, these people are all blind, and the beautiful woman is already sending herself to our doorstep. A formless aura collided onto the outside of the barrier, causing the seawater within the barrier to surge, and the seawater actually formed into a huge wave that rushed towards Ying family who was on the island. When the members of Ying family who were in the middle of a meeting felt the tremble of the barrier, their expressions changed greatly. Even the barrier did not tremble at all. "I didn't expect that the barrier would be so violent today." Ying Jingshan brought everyone and flew out of the meeting hall, and they could only see the huge wave that was 100 meters tall rushing towards them. This kind of situation caused everyone's scalp to go numb. Of course, they were only surprised that the sea that had not moved for 1,000 years actually gave rise to a huge wave. Ying Ho could be seen standing out, pushing both of his palms outwards, then shouted out loudly, "Protect!" All of a sudden, the surging huge wave slowly subsided, and the entire sea regained its calmness once again. Ying Jingshan felt that something was amiss, too many things had happened in these 2 days, and every single thing was targeted at Ying family, and right now, it even caused the barrier to tremble. "Go out and take a look." "Yes." Ying Xiang smiled, then stood out from the group. Uncle will go and take a look with you. Then I will have to trouble uncle. Ying Ho cupped his hands, he was very polite. After all, if he wanted to obtain the support of Ying family, then he had to satisfy the appetite of these members of Ying family. Yi Zizi yawned. Just now, I controlled my strength well. If I had used a bit more strength, that barrier would have been broken, and if the power did not disappear, the people inside the barrier would have died, and that would be meaningless. Suddenly, more than 10 figures appeared out of thin air. Yi Zizi was overjoyed. Big sister Qing, they are here, they are here. Qing Yutong, who had already fallen asleep, cried out in surprise, Where? The two of you should at least give me some face. The other party is someone who is flying in the sky. As a girl, shouldn't you be surprised? At the very least, you should open your mouth wide and point at the sky and shout monster, and not put on an excited look. Big sister Qing, pay attention to your acting skills, you are too exaggerated. Looking at Yi Zizi, who had a frightened look on her face, she had even shrunk into a ball. Qing Yutong had also just woken up and did not react to what was happening. Now that she reacted, she immediately hugged onto Yi Zizi, her entire body was trembling, and her beautiful eyes were filled with fear. However, the depths of her eyes were filled with excitement. Those two girls are very similar to the ones that Lu Bai described. Ying Xiang smiled, then gradually flew towards the yacht and landed at the front of the yacht, sizing it up curiously. Ying Ho revealed out his killing intent. The assassin that went missing yesterday is already very vexing. Although I don't know if it is these two girls or not, looking at their appearance and age, they are similar to the ones that were described yesterday. If uncle did not follow me out just now, I would be able to silence them, but now, it would not be good for me to do so. You, who are you two? Qing Yutong's acting skills immediately went on, and while protecting Yi Zizi who was in her embrace, she asked in fright. Ying Xiang finally understood why nephew Kang invited them. They are indeed beautiful, the big one is sexy, and the small one is cute, they are truly not bad. Don't be nervous, I just want to ask you two a question. Ying Xiang revealed out a gentle smile. If only nephew did not follow me out, I would have captured the two girls and brought them back to be slaves, wouldn't that be very relaxing? Chapter 185. This little loli was so cool. She was so pitiful. Don't be afraid, uncle is not a bad person. What uncle wants to ask is, last night, did you two drink with a man and then help him extinguish the fire? Qing Yutong immediately revealed out a hesitant look. However, when this kind of look fell into the eyes of the cunning Ying Xiang, there was no need to think too much to know that it was them. However, Yi Zizi had to display the performance that a little girl should have. Uncle, last night, big sister and I helped a big brother extinguish the fire, can you let us go now? Yi Zizi shouted out in fear, vividly acting out the inner monologue of a little girl. Qing Yutong who was at the side felt that Yi Zizi could become a child star. Ying Ho tightly wrinkled his brows. Are these two women invited by Jiu Yi? Looking at their expressions, they don't seem to be, they are just two ordinary women. However, you don't know anything about their strength. Ying Xiang bent down, and Qing Yutong who was hugging onto Yi Zizi immediately retreated in fear. As expected of a movie empress, her acting skills are off the charts. Don't come over. I'm calling the police. Ying Xiang straightened his body and said, I'm afraid that the two of you will have to come with me, there are some things that I have to clarify. Ying Xiang could be seen waving his hand, and Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi floated in the air. Yi Zizi instantly fainted. Qing Yutong felt that Yi Zizi's acting skills were a bit exaggerated. At the very least, fainting after being shocked would be more realistic. Look at me. What's wrong? How can I fly? Put me down, quickly put me down. Qing Yutong who had a flustered look tilted her head and fainted. Ying Xiang laughed, these two women stomped on my nephew Kang until he exploded, I really have to give it to them. Ying Ho remained silent, he was still a bit worried. A group of sheep brought along two wolves and returned to the sheep pen. The sheep were still too young, or rather, not all sheep were as lucky as those in the anime. After passing through the barrier, Xiang immediately brought Qing Yutong and Yizizi to the hall to receive the trial. Yizizi, who was in a coma, didn't expect that she would encounter so many delicious food. Eating one was equivalent to eating 10,000 people. However, for the sake of fun, Yizizi continued to pretend to be unconscious. Sometimes, it is quite interesting to tease the enemy, letting them be eaten while in despair. Haha, I am truly a genius. It's them. Jingshan asked gravely. Ho said in a deep voice, I'm not sure yet. I'll have to wait for my brother to come and confirm it. Wake them up and put the robe on them. Nowadays, the girls in the secular world are becoming more and more shameless. When Jingshan went out to train in the past, which girl dared to dress like this? After draping a robe over Qing Yutong and Yizizi, Ho woke them up. The two of them sat up in a daze. The confusion on their faces was a perfect match. After a while, they glanced at each other before hugging each other and shivering. If this scene was to be seen by Yi Hua, his buttocks would definitely be smacked into mush. Who would tease their enemies like this? Don't you know that they are in despair right now? Be merciful and grant a painless death. The members of the Ying family didn't expect to see two girls like them. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that they didn't even have the strength to truss up a chicken. Jingshan would never have thought that his own son was destroyed by them. How was this possible? The main hall was completely silent. Qing Yutong and Yizizi did not speak as they quietly waited for their father-in-law to enter the main hall. Although the two of them did not speak, they were sizing up the two of them. The middle-aged man should be the boss, and the young man standing behind the boss should be the son. Then, what is the identity of the person who was stomped on? Lu Bai could be seen supporting Kangsha as they walked into the main hall. Kangsha was limping, and when he saw the two figures in the main hall, he recognized them with a single glance. I'm going to kill you too. Even if the two of them turned into ashes, Kangsha would still be able to recognize them. My roots were broken by them. Jingshan frowned, and a barrier appeared around Qing Yutong and Yizizi. The pitiful Kangsha was forced back a few meters and sat on the ground. His injuries were affected, causing his entire body to distort. Soon after, Kangsha looked at his father in disbelief. Father, let me kill them. Right now, he no longer had any face left to speak of. Kangsha kneeled in front of his father and begged. Kangsha shouted out gravely, I still have something to ask. Father. Shut up. Jingshan shouted out coldly. Kangsha remained silent and stood up silently. Looking at the two women in the main hall, he wished he could hang them up and use a whip to whip them and listen to their screams of pain. Yizizi felt that it was time for her to perform. Don't come over, big sister. I'm scared. Yizizi looked at Kangsha as if she was looking at a devil, then leaned onto Qing Yutong's body. Qing Yutong immediately understood. You bastard, you don't even let off a child. Qing Yutong portrayed the image of a big sister very well. Not afraid of power, and at the same time, protecting her little sister. Upon hearing the two's narration, Kangsha more or less understood what was going on. All of them sighed and shook their heads. Meanwhile, Kangsha almost vomited blood. It's obviously you two. It's you two who broke my roots, and now, you two actually dare to bite back at me. Father, don't believe them. Before the questioning even started, my son was already labeled as someone who bullied and humiliated underage girls. Right now, my son's reputation is already bad enough, don't tell me that the entire Ng family is going to be stinked. Qing Yutong's acting was very realistic, especially her acting of not being afraid of anyone, it was simply godly. Alright, this part of her acting was her true self. Don't think that you can bully us sisters just because you have more people. Zizi, don't be afraid, big sister is here. Lightly caressing Auntie Yizizi who was in her embrace, Qing Yutong spoke angrily. Yizizi pointed at Kangsha and sobbed, it's fine if you bully me, but don't bully big sister anymore. Pfft. Ing Kongsher felt the taste of blood surging up his chest. It's obviously the two of you who are bullying me. Looking at the two sisters who were so pitiful, Ing Shang said gravely, Big brother, I'm afraid that we have to consider this matter at length. Ing Jingshan thought for a while, then asked, Tell me, why did you two hurt my son? Qing Yutong said righteously, That night, it was him who invited me and my little sister to accompany him for a drink. Lu Bai went into a daze for a moment, but he didn't refute. That was indeed the case. And he actually made an excessive request, asking me and my little sister to accompany him. My little sister is only 8 years old, how can there be such an evil person in this world? After speaking, Qing Yutong started crying bitterly, causing the other family members to pity her. She is lying, I have never said such a thing before. Ing Kongsher shouted out. He was too hesitant and emotional, and his eyes had already turned red. However, Ing Kongsher's words seemed to be very powerless. After all, it was very normal for him to have such thoughts. The looks of these two girls were extraordinary. If they didn't cause any trouble, then it would be fine, but if they caused trouble, then they would definitely be ugly. Qing Yutong could be heard continuing, My little sister and I were almost drunk, and not knowing what happened, his crotch caught on fire. Although he had evil intentions, we couldn't just leave him to die, right? My little sister and I worked together to extinguish the fire, and only then did he not get burnt to death. However, we were also afraid, and thus, we left. Chapter 186. Bullshit. You've crushed my roots, give me back my roots. Ing Kongsher had a malevolent look on his face. Just as he was about to charge forward, he was stopped by an invisible force. At the side, Marquis Ing heaved a huge sigh of relief. Seemed like this was truly an accident. The blue veins on Ing Jingshan's forehead bulged a few times. This was truly the misfortune of the clan. One last question, was this incident an accident, or was it instigated by someone? Ing Jingshan questioned coldly. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi seemed to have a telepathic connection. Shuang cast a glance at Ing Ho, who was at the side, and then immediately retracted her gaze. This action was very fast. Ordinary people might not be able to detect it, but the people sitting here were all powerful figures. How could they not notice this trick? Everyone looked towards Ing Ho, and Ing Ho was completely stupefied. What do you all mean by looking at me like that? MLGB. Ing Kongsher had been guessing all along. He had never confirmed it, and he didn't want to confirm it either. After all, he was his big brother. But when he saw their gazes, his entire person froze. His gaze gradually turned to his elder brother, and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Ing Ho, I'm going to kill you. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi snickered in their hearts. To be able to make the two of you kill each other so effortlessly, this is truly too fun. Marquis Ing came to his senses and said angrily, Are you crazy? They are obviously framing us, trying to make us fight amongst ourselves. Zizi and Big Sister really don't know him, Yi Zizi said while choking with sobs. She seemed to be very scared, as if she was being threatened. A child's words were very lethal, let alone a cute little loli. However, this kind of supplement was like a stab to Ing Ho's back, causing him to be enraged. I'll kill you two bitches. After saying that, Marquis Ing attacked. Upon seeing the situation, Qing Yutong immediately protected Yi Zizi. If no one is going to make a move, then prepare to counterattack, in any case, I have already played enough. But how could no one do anything in such a situation? Ing Xiang and Ing Shang took the opportunity to stand in front of Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi, forcing Ing Ho to retreat. Ing Shang said in a deep voice, Nephew Ho, it's not good to silence them. Third uncle. These two demonesses were bewitching people with their words. We can't let him live. At this moment, Marquis Ing was also flustered. If he acted rashly, wouldn't that be the same as admitting to it? Big brother. It really is you. From today onwards, we are no longer brothers. Ing Kongsha raised his hand and made a vow. From now on, he cut off all ties with Ing Hoi, leaving only hatred. Ing Jingshan clenched his fists tightly. If possible, he really didn't want them to appear. Harming others and oneself. Speak, you don't have to be afraid. Ing Jingshan shouted. Qing Yutong hugged onto Yizizi, and the two of them shivered, seeming like they didn't dare to speak. If this matter was confirmed, it would be a great opportunity for Ing Xiang and Ing Shang. Young ladies, don't be afraid. With me, Ing Xiang, here, no one will dare to hurt you. You just need to tell me the truth, Ing Shang said with a smile. As an adult, Qing Yutong definitely can't speak carelessly. Right now, as long as I act well, they will definitely start fighting. At this time, it was Yizizi's turn. Really? Yizizi asked curiously with her eyes wide open. No one would question a frightened little loli's desire to live. Of course it's true. Ing Xiang smiled amiably. Ing Jingshan, who was sitting on the main seat, appeared very solemn. Two unfilial sons. Both ruined in the hands of a woman. Yizizi wiped away her tears. This action of hers was too pitiful. Then, pointing at Ing Ho, she said, "This uncle gave big sister a large sum of money to let us dress sexily at the bar at night." That's all? Ing Xiang asked. Yizizi shook her head, that's all. Everyone's expression changed greatly. This is a scheme that has a brain. Needless to say, the person who is able to come up with such a scheme is this eldest young master. Ing Xiang sneered, "Big brother, you have taught a good son. If this kind of matter were to spread out, where would our Ing family's face be?" Ing Shang walked back and forth, slowly explaining the scheme to everyone. Nephew Kong would normally go to the bar at Three Seasons Hotel when he goes out. You calculated that on that night, little brother would be happy and go out to drink, so you used money to bribe the two young ladies. Because you are very clear of little brother's character, he would definitely let the two young ladies accompany him to drink. The mission of the two young ladies was actually only an open scheme, they were only covering for that waiter. Following Ing Shang's explanation, everyone fell into contemplation. There is nothing wrong with this. However, Ing Ho's expression became even more gloomy. Ing Shang continued, "The people who went out to investigate discovered that everything about that waiter was fake, and that waiter disappeared on that very night. If my guess is correct, the one who did it should be that waiter. However, the two young ladies are benevolent, so of course, they also made a huge mistake. As for why Lu Bai was controlled, there is no need for me to say much, right?" Lu Bai suddenly looked at Ing Ho. What a vicious man. However, Qing Yutong and Yizizi were laughing so hard in their hearts. Benevolent, this phrase is so professional, I didn't expect that you would be able to see through it. The entire hall was filled with an oppressive aura. Ing family's biggest taboo was to harm one's own brothers, even if it was a power struggle, one's life must not be harmed. However, all of the family members were hoping that Ing Ho's crime would be confirmed, that way, the position of the family master would be vacant. As for why I didn't kill him, it should be because nephew Kong didn't want to do that. After all, he is a blood brother, and furthermore, killing him is even more ruthless than killing him. After finished speaking, Ing Shang's aura suddenly erupted as he shouted loudly, "Am I right? Bullshit. I just wanted to kill him." The entire hall was silent. Ing Shang's aura that suddenly erupted was to attack Ing Ho's willpower. Ing Shang's strength was also stronger than Ing Ho's, and as expected, Ing Ho who was caught off guard lost his judgment for a short period of time, causing Ing Ho to speak the truth. However, the truth was indeed frightening enough. He actually dared to kill his younger brother. Ing Xiang said gravely, "Seems like that waiter's mission was to kill nephew Kong, and those two girls had indirectly saved nephew Kang's life." Right now, even Qing Yutong and Yizizi were stupefied. This plot seems to have been extended infinitely, this is really a case of brothers killing each other, this is so awesome. This is much more entertaining than a TV drama. Who is it? Why aren't you quickly thanking us? If it wasn't for us, it would not be possible for you to be standing here right now. However, Qing Yutong thought to herself, from the looks of it, Jiu Yi seems to have an affair with this man. This is a bit interesting. I reckon that this Jiu Yi has an even bigger secret that I can slowly unravel. Ying Jingshan's head was buzzing. His eldest son was actually jealous to the point of killing his younger brother. If it wasn't for a freak combination of factors, his youngest son would have already lost his life. Big brother, we are also very sad that something like this happened, but without rules, nothing can be accomplished. Ying Xiang said, not giving any face to Ying Jingshan at all. In actuality, for a family like Ying Jingshan's, if they were to be slightly caught by others, they would definitely die without a complete corpse. Chapter 187. Although these two women were talking nonsense, he really wanted to kill them. The funny thing was that he had been tricked. He was really stupid. Ying Kangshi knelt in front of his father and said furiously, "Father, Marquis Ying has violated the family rules. Father, please punish him accordingly." Hearing Ying Kangshi's words, all the clan members stood up and cupped their hands. "Clan head, please punish them according to the clan rules." Marquis Ying knew what the outcome would be. Rather than waiting for death, he might as well run. Marquis Ying instantly dashed out. This kind of thinking was really stupid. But given the current situation, there was nothing he could do. The clan members easily grabbed onto Ying Ho, then kneeled beside Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi. Ying Ho glared angrily at the two women beside him. Yi Zizi suddenly made a face at Ying Ho and said, Lu. This time around, Marquis Ying was completely enraged. He wanted to get rid of these two women with all his might. However, the result was self-evident, and it was even more certain that it was the truth. "I'll kill you all. I'm going to kill you." Marquis Ying's face twisted, and his eyes revealed an ominous glint as he roared at the two women beside him. Ying Jingshan maintained his silence. How could he not feel pain in his heart? A single sentence from the Empress had actually caused the brothers of the Ying family to turn on each other, and the clan members had even wanted him to kill his son for the sake of the position of clan head. How ironic. The greatest irony. One day ago, the clan members were mad with jealousy. The eldest son had become the clan leader, and the youngest son was married to the Empress. How glorious was that? However, one day later, the youngest son had been trampled to death, and the eldest son even wanted to kill his younger brother. This was a great humiliation. Such a turn of events surprised the clan members, but they also found it funny. This was a rare opportunity. In fact, the culprit is sitting in the hall. It's just that you're blind. However, it had to be said that Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi had truly saved Ying Kangshi's life. Otherwise, Jiu Yi would have definitely poisoned Ying Kangshi. Yu He, who was weak, could be seen running in from outside of the door, and when she saw her two sons kneeling on the ground, tears immediately flowed down like rain. "What are you all doing? Get up, all of you. What misunderstanding can't be solved?" Yuha shouted painfully. Ying Xiang said faintly, "Sister-in-law, your eldest son wants to kill his younger brother. This is a violation of the family rules." "What? Impossible, how could kill Kang-er? This is impossible, Tell me." Yuha shook her son. Her voice was hoarse. She had cried for a long time because of her youngest son. But now she was told that her eldest son wanted to kill her younger brother. It was like a bolt from the blue. Kneeling on the ground, Marquis Ying was too ashamed to face his mother. He lowered his head and refused to answer. Yuha ran to her youngest son and cried, "Kang-er, you listen to me the most. How could your brother want to kill you? There must be a misunderstanding. Quickly plead for your father." Ying Kangshi didn't look at his mother. Instead, He lowered his head and said in a deep voice, Marquis Ying got what he deserved. He will be punished according to the family rules. Yuha sat paralyzed on the ground in disbelief. The elder brother wanted to kill the younger brother, and the younger brother even wanted to punish the elder brother according to the family law. Why? How could a good family change like this in one day? Jing Shan, quickly say something. You can't kill he's our child. Yuha knelt in front of her husband and begged. No one said anything, because the outcome had been decided. Hearing his wife's pleading, how could Jing Shan not want to save her? But sitting in his current position, how could he save her? What could he use to save her? Jing Shan, I beg of you, if you want to kill then let me die in place of my son. In the end, Yuha didn't do anything wrong. She only wanted to save her child. However, marrying into this kind of family, one would be able to enjoy the comfort brought by power, but at the same time, one would also lose a lot. Mom. Hearing her eldest son's call, Yuha who was begging felt her heart shatter. In Ying family, different from the secular world, there were rules for how one should address someone. This was the first time she heard her son calling her mom. Yuha came to the front of her eldest son and held on to his hand. Mom will save you, don't worry. Men don't cry easily, this was the education that Marquis Ying had received. Right now, both of his eyes were red, but he didn't cry. Mom, your son will call you mom for the last time. Don't beg anymore. Marquis Ying Jingshan naturally knew that all of his pleading was already useless. Looking at his mother's screams, his heart felt like it was being sliced into pieces. This might be the punishment for me, right? What they said was right, I wanted to kill my younger brother, I deserve it. Forget about your son is unfilial, unable to bring you face, I have let down the ancestors of Ying family. Please accept 3 kowtows from your son, thank mom for raising me. Marquis Ying Jingshan could be seen opening his mother's hands, then moving backwards a bit, bowing to his mother. Bang! Marquis Ying Jingshan's forehead fiercely knocked onto the ground, the hard stone on the ground immediately cracked, and the entire hall shook for a bit. Bang! The hard stone was unable to withstand the force and actually collapsed, and the cracks spread out endlessly. Bang! A small pit was forcefully created on the ground, and right now, Marquis Ying Jingshan's entire face was covered with blood. Even Qin Yutong and Yizizi who were at the side were stupefied, they completely didn't expect Marquis Ying Jingshan to do such a thing. Mom, go back, just treat it as if you don't have this son. Looking at her son whose face was covered with blood, Yuha felt as if her heart was being pierced by a knife. She hugged her son in her embrace, just like when he was young, Mom won't leave, Mom will accompany you. Marquis Ying Jingshan let out a deep breath, enjoying the last bit of warmth. Soon after, he lightly caressed his mother's forehead, letting her gradually fall asleep. The maid very quickly carried the unconscious Yuha away, and the entire hall once again became quiet. Right now, Ying Kongsher was still kneeling in front of his father, his head lowered as he begged, not having the slightest intention of asking for forgiveness. Ying Jingshan said gravely, Marquis Ying. Violating the family rules, harming your own brother, you will be sentenced to Heavy Dust Cave. Hearing such a declaration, the relatives of the clan let out a sigh of relief. As long as one entered Heavy Dust Cave, it would be impossible for them to come out. However, when Ying Kongsher heard such a sentence, he finally felt that the situation was balanced. Hearing his father's sentence, Marquis Ying Jingshan did not reveal too much of an expression. On the other hand, Qin Yutong and Yizizi were both curious about what kind of place this Heavy Dust Cave was. As for the two of you. Ying Jingshan immediately glared at Qin Yutong and Yizizi. If the two of them did not appear, such a thing would not have happened. Not knowing the severity of your attack, causing Ying family's offspring to be infertile, you will be sentenced to Heavy Dust Cave. Towards this kind of punishment, everyone felt that it was meaningless. Although the two ladies had saved Ying Kongsher's life, they had also trampled on his life, and the punishment naturally could not be offset. However, the punishment of being sent to Heavy Dust Cave was indeed a little heavy, so it would be better to just straightforwardly behead them. Jingshan had nowhere to vent his anger, and Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi could only be said to be innocent bystanders. However, other than being frightened, the two of them were also curious about Heavy Dust Cave, and wanted to go and see what exactly was inside. The two of them appeared to be very fearful, and at the same time, respectful. Chapter 188. Something like being sent into the Heavy Dust Cavern was a huge matter for the entire Ying family. All of the members of the Ying family were present, including the guards. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi curiously looked at that family head who was praying to the heavens. It seemed like only by praying to the heavens would he be able to be at ease. Sister Qing, are you afraid? If you are, let's charge out right now, Yi Zizi whispered. Qing Yutong muttered, don't, let's go in and see what it is. That's what I was thinking too. Yi Zizi was now incomparably curious about Heavy Dust Cave. Was there a big monster inside? I really like fighting monsters. This Heavy Dust Cavern was located at the back of the island. From the outside, this cavern seemed to extend to the bottom of the sea. From time to time, a chilling aura would seep out from within, making people shiver. After the worshipping ceremony ended, Jingshan took one last look at his son. Then, he turned around and shouted, "Enter the cave." The guards escorted the three of them towards the Heavy Dust Cavern. When Ho passed by his younger brother, he said in a low voice, "Take good care of Mom." Kongsher coldly looked at his elder brother who wanted to kill him and did not say anything. The guard urged in a low voice, and the three of them slowly walked into the Heavy Dust Cave. Immediately, cold air assaulted them, and the temperature instantly dropped below zero. Since he had already walked in, there was no need for him to continue acting. La la la, la la la, so fun, Yi Zizi swung the teddy bear in her hand and skipped down the seemingly bottomless staircase. Zizi, slow down a bit, don't fall, Qing Yutong warned. Yi Zizi ran over again and smiled sweetly, I know. The two of them glanced at Ho who was standing silently at the side. They felt that this was a very strange situation. This was a good opportunity for them to kill someone. After a long time, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi finally couldn't endure the fire of gossip in their hearts anymore. Hey, why didn't you kill us? Qing Yutong asked curiously, and Yi Zizi waited for the other party's reply. Ho, whose face was covered in blood, laughed coldly, being killed by me is too easy for you. Being killed by Zhong Chen is the most painful. Why should I make a move and let you die so easily? What is this heavy dust? You guys seem to be very afraid of it. Yi Zizi asked curiously. She hugged little Teddy with both her hands and her face was filled with questions. Ho snorted coldly, mocking their ignorance. Heavy dust is an ancient ferocious beast. It's incomparably cruel and has been suppressed by the Ying family for thousands of years. Yi Zizi waved her little hand and exclaimed, wow, an ancient ferocious beast. Just thinking about it makes me excited. Your sister has already gone crazy. Ho laughed. Qing Yutong spread out her hands, I haven't even seen what an ancient beast looks like yet. In actuality, she had even eaten the meat of a prehistoric beast before, and even though she ate the meat of an ancient ferocious beast, it was still not as good as a prehistoric beast. After a while, the three of them reached the end of the staircase. It seemed quite spacious, but it was pitch black. Moreover, it was incredibly cold and gave off a powerful might. Ho sighed deeply, I'll wait for you on the other side. With that, he walked into the darkness. Roar! Ha! A roar sounded out, and within the roar, there was even Ho's counterattack. However, not even a second later, the entire world once again became silent, and Qing Yutong could even hear the faint sound of chewing. Yi Zizi shook her head. You could have lived, but you chose to die. Even if you waited there for a lifetime, you wouldn't be able to see me. Qing Yutong smiled, then took out a stone from the system and threw it towards the sky. The stone was instantly illuminated. The two of them saw what the so-called heavy dust looked like. It had a lion's head and a crocodile's body. It seems that this is a hybrid product. This is the ugliest and weakest ancient beast that I have ever seen. Yi Zizi muttered. This is truly an eyesore. I didn't expect that an ancient beast would actually be this ugly. Qing Yutong couldn't bear to look on anymore. The two of them indeed had good taste in aesthetics. Heavy dust was actually quite awe-inspiring. Its body length was close to 300 meters, and when it stood up, it was roughly 10 floors tall. The fur below its neck was like golden thorns that were incomparably sharp. The defense of the scales on its body was extremely high, and wanting to break through its defense was not an easy task. The main point was its 4 huge claws that were flickering with a cold light. In front of heavy dust, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi were just like a black dot, and they seemed so insignificant. Heavy dust could be seen slowly crawling over, and every time it moved, the entire cave would tremble. Ancient beasts all have intelligence, and these two weak humans actually dared to ignore this beast and even turned their faces to the side. Don't think that just because you two look good, this beast will spare your life. Roar! Heavy dust let out a loud roar, and its aura soared into the sky. This is definitely a move that is used to scare little kids. Even Ying family who was outside of the cave heard heavy dust's roar, and apart from being shocked, they also sighed in admiration. Unexpectedly, an even louder roar rang out from within the cave, and a berserk aura swept out from within the cave, causing the altar to collapse. Ying Xiang said gravely, "This heavy dust has become a bit more powerful. What kind of joke is this? That roar just now was Yi Zizi's." When it comes to roaring, Yi Zizi has never been afraid of roaring before. However, heavy dust who was still awe-inspiring just a moment ago was actually hiding at the corner of the cave and shivering. Just like an injured kitten, heavy dust buried its head into its chest. In actuality, Qing Yutong was also quite frightened by Yi Zizi's roar. Yi Zizi's ability is not ordinary, and that lowly voice of hers couldn't have turned on a voice changer, right? Alright, you guessed it right. La la la, la la la, it's time for Ultraman to beat up little monsters. Yi Zizi waved the teddy bear in her hand and bounced over to the front of heavy dust, then stretched out her leg and kicked onto heavy dust's sharp claws. Big sister Qing, quickly come over, this beast is actually painted with black nail polish, so coquettish. Heavy dust, you are lying. These are all natural black nails, okay? Don't think that just because you are powerful, you can slander a good beast. Qing Yutong walked over, then let out a breath and said, "Black nail polish doesn't look good, how about we paint it red?" "Sure, Zizi likes red." Heavy dust's heart was filled with despair. While speaking, the two really started painting their nails, and they were definitely not joking. "What are you being shy for? Put down your nails a bit, you won't even be able to paint it. That claw over there, you are acting like a little girl, you really haven't seen the world yet." Heavy dust, under Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi's ridicule, heavy dust wished that he could die from despair. "They are simply inhumane, painting the sharp claws that I am most proud of into a dazzling red color, and even made me wear contact lenses. I really want to die." Qing Yutong clapped her hands. "Zizi, do you feel that it is prettier?" Looking at heavy dust who had a wronged look on his face, Yi Zizi hugged onto the teddy bear and said, "Won't you know after taking a look?" "Hee hee, that makes sense, Zizi is really smart, quickly give big sister a kiss." After speaking, heavy dust hugged onto Yi Zizi and fiercely kissed onto her. "Aya, big sister Qing, you salivating monster." Heavy dust buried his head. "I am still a child." Chapter 189. Heavy dust, who was originally lying motionlessly on the ground, slowly stood up. His gaze was no longer filled with despair. Instead, he wanted others to feel despair. The humiliation he had suffered here would be returned by others. Roar! The heavy dust drilled up the stairs like a machine. Countless rocks rolled down one after another. The entire cave was about to collapse. Just now, when Qing Yutong undid the seal, her motive was very simple, and that was to let Heavy Dust out to play. After being locked up for such a long time, Heavy Dust's intelligence would soon become retarded. Sister Qing, let's go up and play. All right. The two of them held hands and followed behind Heavy Dust. From time to time, Yizizi's sweet laughter could be heard. However, this laughter made one's hair stand on end. At this time, the people of Ying family were sitting in the main hall, discussing about the next clan head candidate. Ying Jingshan was furious in his heart. His son had just died, and they couldn't wait to choose the next clan head. Suddenly, the entire hall began trembling, and the faces of the Ying family immediately turned pale with fright. This aura, Heavy Dust. Ying Shang couldn't believe his eyes. How could Heavy Dust have escaped? The entire island was shaking as if there was an earthquake, and the Heavy Dust emitted a baleful aura that struck fear into the hearts of all who smelled it. Ying Jingshan did not have the slightest bit of hesitation as he shouted in a deep voice, "Activate all of Ying family's ancient godly items. We must continue to seal Heavy Dust and not let it escape." In the face of danger, the entire Ying family was united. Otherwise, they wouldn't have become one of the three giants. When Heavy Dust broke through the hole, it immediately roared towards the sky, as if it was telling the people of the world that their time of death had come. It was going to use its red claws to crush them. With every step he took, Ying family's luxurious building would turn into an Oreo. He didn't even know if there was anyone under his foot. Qing Yutong and Yizizi slowly walked out, and looking at the moonlight in the sky, Qing Yutong stretched their waist. "Big sister Qing, hug me, I'm tired." Yizizi stretched out her arms, indicating that she did not want to move anymore. Qing Yutong carried Yizizi up, let's go, and watch the big monster fight against Ultraman." "Right, what time is it?" "If big cousin finishes taking the wedding photos and finds out that we're not there, then we're finished." Qing Yutong took a look at the sky. "I didn't bring my phone with me, and looking at the sky, it should still be early." "Big sister Qing, remember what you said, little fellow, you only know how to shift the blame to others." Qing Yutong pinched onto Yizizi's little nose, causing the latter to laugh heartily. At this moment, Heavy Dust was like a war machine. Half of the Ying family's buildings had been razed to the ground, and everyone in the Ying family started to attack Heavy Dust. The weapons in their hands flashed with all sorts of colors, and anyone could tell that they were cheap weapons. "Big brother. This Heavy Dust is very strange, it seems to be very violent." Ying Shang held a long spear in his hand. The long spear was black in color and was surrounded by lightning. Ancient godly item. At this moment, Ying Xiang had also flown over. He was holding a large blade in his hand. It looked very much like the green dragon crescent blade, but the blade was yellow in color. It was another ancient godly item. The thing that the three great magnates lacked the least was ancient godly equipment. "Big brother, why did Heavy Dust's sharp claws turn red? This is a bit strange." Ying Jingshan also felt that it was strange. Why did it feel like those sharp claws were painted with nail polish? "Alright, let's not talk anymore. Let's subdue Heavy Dust and seal him again." "Yes. Yes." The orders of the patriarch could not be disobeyed. Rules were rules, and no one could override the rules of the Ying family. Yizizi, who was nestled in Qing Yutong's embrace, pouted her mouth. "The little fellow doesn't seem to be a match for them. And, the weapons in their hands are very powerful," Qing Yutong said. The two hid at a remote place and watched the battle. "I didn't expect that Ying family's foundation would be this powerful. If they were to be given a bit more time, they would be able to seal Heavy Dust once again." The two watched the battle for another 10 minutes, and Heavy Dust was already on the verge of collapse. Facing against Ying family's frenzied attacks, Heavy Dust was unable to hold on any longer. "They are too much of a bully, a few thousand people against one." In actuality, Qing Yutong hated those people very much. Comparatively speaking, that Ying Ho could still be counted as a man. Yizizi snorted, "Big sister Qing, let's go and help those little monsters, they are too pitiful." "Alright, let's let them experience what true despair is. Qing Yutong loosened up her muscles and bones. I can finally have a big battle. Just as the two were preparing to enter the battlefield, Yi Zizi's expression changed. Big sister Qing. Wait. Don't go. Yi Zizi retracted her usual smile and shouted out sternly. Qing Yutong turned her head around and asked curiously, what happened, Zizi? Big brother is here. Yi Zizi's face collapsed as she thought about where she should hide. Ah. Brother-in-law is here. Qing Yutong also got a fright, and she felt that her butt was a bit painful. Hide, the two immediately understood each other's gaze and hid, half an hour ago. Yi Hua, who was in the bridal dress store, felt that his body and mind were exhausted. I might as well just fight with Yi Zizi. Thinking about how there is still a whole day of filming tomorrow, Yi Hua felt that the sky was pressing down on him, and a feeling of powerlessness welled up within him. Facing something like this, so what if I am strong? Sometimes, I really want to go back to the past and be a little skeleton that is always in fear. Sigh. Qingye, who was wearing a pure white wedding dress, walked over. Looking at Yi Hua, who had a bitter look on his face, Qingye laughed in her heart. All right, don't be angry anymore, I will give you a massage when we get back. Don't think that I will be able to calm down just by saying a few nice words. Yi Hua said gravely. Today, I have changed at least 10 sets of clothes, and right now, I am even wearing a bright red suit, even my leather shoes and socks are red in color. Do you think that I am a male prostitute? Qingye could be seen walking to Yi Hua's side, then bending down and lightly kissing onto Yi Hua's cheek. Is this okay? The boy who was dragging the wedding dress behind Qingye was stupefied. This woman in front of me is so beautiful, yet she is actually trying to curry favor with a man, and even took the initiative to give him a kiss. Needless to say, this man's family has a mine, and a lot of mine. Yi Hua pursed his lips. Qingye actually took the initiative, I have taught her quite well. Quickly change your clothes and go back. Yi Hua said petulantly. Qingye stretched out her index finger and hooked onto Yi Hua's chin, then blinked her beautiful eyes and said sweetly, little darling, wait for me. Yi Hua looked blankly at Qingye, who was leaving. This woman is really makes me. Yi Hua doesn't even know how to describe what he is feeling right now. She actually dares to take liberties with me. Later on, when we get back, just wait and see how I will take care of you. Although that was what he said, the corner of Yi Hua's mouth was still quite honest. Suddenly, Yi Hua seemed to have heard a light roar, causing Yi Hua to be very curious. Who is walking a ferocious beast in the middle of the night? It was normal for Yi Hua to be able to hear heavy dust's roar. After all, heavy dust was not very far away from Yi Hua. Adding on to the excitement of heavy dust breaking out from the ground, heavy dust's roar was very loud, and thus, heavy dust's roar was transmitted into Yi Hua's ears. Of course, other people would not be able to hear heavy dust's roar. Even if Xiao Yi was called over, Xiao Yi would not be able to hear heavy dust's roar. Chapter 190. Opening the window, Yi Hua looked towards the pitch-black ocean. From that direction, he could still sense the existence of Yi Zizi. As expected, she is looking for something to do, and there are quite a lot of people in the ocean. After pondering for a while, Yi Hua decided to call Wei Chang and Lai Gu over for a meeting. Arriving at the toilet, Yi Hua closed the door and began summoning his two subordinates. Wei Chang and Lai Gu instantly arrived. Subordinate pays respect to your honor. Subordinate pays respect to your honor. Yi Hua said faintly, stop kneeling, the floor is dirty. Wei Chang and Lai Gu heaved a sigh of relief. Thank you for your understanding. Thank you for your understanding. When Wei Chang and Lai Gu raised their heads and saw his honor, who was dressed entirely in red, Wei Chang and Lai Gu were both stupefied. His honor had always been dressed in black, and for his honor to suddenly be dressed entirely in red, it truly feels very awkward. I am currently thinking about a problem, and I wish to hear your opinions. Yi Hua took out a stick of cigarette and said faintly. What? he came to take the exam in the middle of the night. Wei Chang and Lai Gu immediately pricked up their ears to listen. Zizi is currently causing trouble in a certain power, and I, the Supreme Overlord, want to take this opportunity to subdue him. What do you all think? Yi Hua let out a mouthful of smoke and said. Lai Gu secretly pulled Wei Chang. Aren't you very good at this kind of problem? Subordinate thinks that. Wei Chang was about to speak, but Yi Hua said, let Lai Gu speak. Lai Gu, Your Honor, you clearly know that subordinate isn't thinking, subordinate is only thinking with the lower half of his body. Lai Gu coughed lightly, Your Honor, I feel that your way of thinking is truly too great. It was over. No more? Yi Hua asked gravely. Yes, 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 yes. Lai Gu said 10 times in one go. Speak. This subordinate feels that what his honor is doing, what is it called again? What rain? Wei Chang reminded, prepare for a rainy day. That's right, it is to prepare for a rainy day. Currently, other than Sun Fang who is still teaching the humans, there are no other powers that are under our control. If we were to subdue those powers, it would be useful for your honor's plan. After finished speaking, Lai Gu prepared to listen to Yi Hua's lecture. Yi Hua paused for a moment, then said gravely, that's right, the current progress is indeed a bit slow. If I were to subdue a power and make it work for me, it would be more convenient for me to handle matters. Your honor is wise. Your honor is wise. Since we're going to subdue them, what kind of formation do we have to put on to shock them? Yi Hua thought back then, when the 7 deadly sins were still around, every time they set out to battle, there would be 8 of them. Wei Chang and Lai Gu also thought of the past. However, there weren't that many people now. Wei Chang suddenly had an idea and suggested, I can call Xiao Tang over, along with Lai Gu's 3 celebrities, and that little brother of mine, and that little brother of mine, and that little brother of mine's woman, this scene should be more or less enough. You called a few women to keep up appearances. Yi Hua was a bit displeased. Wei Chang hurriedly explained, during that day's outing, they had already started to worship your honor's strength. If your honor were to show off your strength again, they would definitely become the sharp blades in your honor's hands and pierce through the blood vessels of your enemies. Not only to shock the enemy, but also to shock them. That makes sense. The world has yet to witness my true strength. I might as well let them witness my true terror tonight. Wei Chang and Lai Gu didn't care whether the ground was dirty or not, and said in unison, his honors might shakes the world. Gather everyone. We're leaving in 5 minutes. Yes. Yes. Yi Hua let out a breath and felt an indescribable excitement, as if I have returned to the past. This feeling is great. Arriving at Qin Ye's dressing room, Yi Hua walked into the dressing room. Yi Hua, what's wrong? Don't be anxious, it will be done very soon. Qin Ye smiled tenderly. Yi Hua said faintly, I ran out of cigarettes, I am going to buy a pack of cigarettes. And, I will wait for you here. Be careful on the road, pay attention to the cars. Qin Ye warned. Yi Hua smiled lightly and pinched onto Qin Ye's nose. Pay attention to the cars, so what if I crash into them? Walking into the toilet once again, Yi Hua's figure had already appeared on the surface of the sea. Taking a deep breath, Yi Hua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. Within a certain hotel in Sanya City, Death Mage and Sun Fang were currently lying on the bed and playing games. Right now, they were playing games as much as they wanted to. Just as they were playing, Death Mage received his master's command. His honor is going to make a big move. F***K. His honor's big move will definitely cause blood to flow like a river and bones to appear. What? And he is going to bring along this woman who is beside him. Are you for real? Time was of the essence, and there was no time for Death Mage to think too much. Grabbing onto Sun Fang's fragrant shoulder, Death Mage let out a cackling sound. Imperial translation, quickly change your clothes, don't wear your pajamas anymore, I will bring you to meet his honor. This time, Sun Fang was really confused. She frowned and said, "What are you doing? You're hurting me." Death Mage immediately started typing on his phone. Looking at the anxious look on Death Mage's face, Sun Fang felt an indescribable nervousness. What kind of matter could make Death Mage so anxious? He flashed his phone. "I'll bring you to see the master. Hurry up and change your clothes. Change into that waiter's clothes." Sun Fang was confused and asked curiously, "Aren't you the boss?" "GGG, Royal Translation, I'm not your boss, hurry up and change your clothes." The anxious Death Mage forgot to type again. When Sun Fang saw the words that Death Mage had typed out, her entire body became unwell. Isn't he the boss? Instead, it is someone else's underling's underling, then who was his boss's boss? Sun Fang immediately went to find a waiter's uniform and hurriedly ran back. Death Mage hugged onto his woman, then stepped into the black void. On the surface of the sea, Yi Hua was smoking a cigarette. Wei Chang could be seen being the first to arrive, and he appeared with Tang Wei. Wei Chang was still wearing that black maid attire, just that, Tang Wei's current expression was a bit off, a bit of fear could be seen on her face. "Subordinate pays respect to your honor." Wei Chang knelt down in the void and shouted out loudly. Tang Wei was startled, then immediately knelt down in the void and shouted out, "Subordinate pays respect to your honor." Yi Hua didn't say anything, and the two of them didn't get up either. Very quickly, Lai Gu arrived as well. He brought along Still Yi, Wen Xia, and Bai Xiaozhen. The four of them knelt down in unison and shouted out loudly, "Subordinate pays respect to your honor." The three women didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Just a moment ago, when they found out about the boss's identity, their souls were simply about to be scared out of their wits. At this moment, Death Mage could be seen appearing at the scene as well, just that, he was standing slightly behind Yi Hua. "Subordinate pays respect to your honor, pays respect to master." Sun Fang was a bit dazed. Looking at the person who was kneeling down in the void, she felt a bit dizzy. Death Mage immediately pulled onto Sun Fang. "What are you standing there foolishly for? Quickly pay respect to master." Sun Fang knew what Death Mage meant, and she imitated everyone, "Subordinate pays respect to your honor." Yi Hua puffed out a mouthful of smoke, then said calmly with his back facing everyone, "Everyone, stand up." The 8 people behind Yi Hua slowly stood up and stood according to their positions. Chapter 191. Sun Fang was a little nervous. Death Mage was such a powerful skeleton, yet he was only standing at the back. "No, I'm the last one." Just how strong was the man in front of her? Yi Hua flicked away the cigarette but that was in his hand, and the cigarette but just so happened to land on the barrier, causing the sparks to burn out a round hole on the barrier. The group of 9 stepped into the barrier, and the surface of the sea once again fell into silence. The winner. Jing Shan looked at the dying heavy dust and let out a heavy breath. "How are the casualties?" Xiang hurriedly said, 711 people died and 2,732 were injured. F***CK. Jing Shan could not help but swear. There were only about 10,000 people in Ying family, and this number included the guards and maidservants. 711 people had died today. What a heavy loss. Moreover, it had injured more than 2,000 people. As expected of an ancient ferocious beast, its strength was indeed formidable. Looking up at the vast Milky Way, Jing Shan said in a deep voice, "Take good care of the dead, treat the injured as soon as possible, and carry out the construction work at the same time. Also, continue sealing heavy dust." "Yes." Xiang replied. Just when everyone thought that everything was fine, a round flame suddenly appeared in the night sky. It was very eye-catching, and everyone in the Ying family raised their heads to look up. After a moment of shock, the Ying family members immediately became vigilant. He held the ancient godly item tightly in his hands. The enchantment in the void fell like a piece of glass, and then 9 people walked in. The man at the very front was dressed in red, looking quite festive. Could it be that he just got married? The enchantment slowly healed. Looking at the 9 people in the sky, the Ying clan was shocked. They were actually able to break through the barriers so easily. How was this possible? Who dares to trespass? An armored warrior shouted out. However, before he could finish speaking, his entire body turned into a pool of blood. The people of the Ying family were dumbfounded. That warrior had just made a great contribution in the battle against Heavy Dust Mountain. His strength was clear to see. He didn't expect to be instantly killed. Moreover, the one who attacked was standing at the back of the group, a black-robed man with a sickle in his hand. That's right, it was Death Mage. He was currently raising his hand. The entire Ying family fell silent. They felt that these people were even more terrifying than Zhong Chen. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi, who were hiding below, looked upwards. Big cousin is so pretentious. Brother-in-law is indeed the act-tough king. Ying Xiang, who had a fiery temper, held on to an ancient godly item and rushed straight towards Yi Hua. However, Yi Hua did not even take a look at Ying Xiang as he silently took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. Eat my blade. The ancient godly item in Ying Xiang's hand immediately emitted a bright golden light, illuminating the entire night sky. Meanwhile, that long blade let out an excited tiger's roar, as if it wanted to devour everything in the world. Death Mage clenched his fist. Bang! Ying Xiang, who had an extraordinary aura, turned into a mist of blood on the spot. The ancient godly item fell from the sky and stabbed into the ground. Boom! The entire island shook, and it could be seen just how powerful the ancient godly item was. However, none of the 9 people in the sky went to pick up the godly item. It was as if the ancient godly item was trash in their eyes. Death Mage, who was standing at the back of the 9 people, instantly killed 2 people, causing everyone to be stupefied. It would have been fine if he had insta-killed that warrior. However, insta-killing Ying family's second brother, who possessed an ancient godly item, was something that no one could accept. Ying Jingshan and the other family members didn't dare to rashly make a move anymore. Since Death Mage was able to insta-kill the person who was standing at the back of the 9 people, just how strong would the person who was standing at the front be? Yi Hua exhaled out a mouthful of smoke, and the smoke that he exhaled out slowly drifted towards the weakened Heavy Dust. Heavy Dust, who was lying on the ruins, smelled the smoke, and his 4 limbs that were originally unable to move began to gradually wriggle. Soon after, Heavy Dust suddenly stood up. Roar! Heavy Dust let out a long howl, then bent his front leg and bowed towards Yi Hua. Right now, the hearts of Ying family's people were collapsing. So many people had died just to defeat Heavy Dust. However, with just a breath from Yi Hua, Heavy Dust, who was on the verge of death, immediately came back to life as if he had been injected with a stimulant. Is he still human? Yi Hua could be seen raising his hands. The entire sea surface immediately began boiling, and seawater could be seen surging upwards, forming legs, waist, chest, arms, and head. 8 giant water demon gods surrounded the island and looked down at all of Ying family's people. Heavy Dust was already trembling in fear. In front of the giant water demon gods, he was just like a wild boar, and he could only raise his head to look up at the giant water demon gods. Not only Heavy Dust, the legs of everyone in Ying family were trembling, and those who were slightly weaker had already collapsed onto the ground. Meanwhile, Ying Kongshi had already fainted from fear. This was not the end. Below Yi Hua, the seawater was rising in a straight line, but while it was rising, it was also rapidly freezing, gradually forming a frozen platform. Yi Hua and the others just happened to be standing on the platform. A frozen throne could be seen rising from the center of the platform. Yi Hua slowly sat on the throne, then flicked away the cigarette that was in his hand and shouted faintly, "Why are the 2 of you still not coming over?" Ying family's people didn't know what this man meant. What 2 of us? Yi Zizi and Qing Yutong, who were hiding below, let out a sigh, and at the same time, they even touched their buttocks. Ying Jingshan saw two figures flying out from the side, and when he saw their appearance, he took in a breath of cold air. So it was them. All of the family members who had seen Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi felt as if their chests were going to vomit out blood. So it was them. The entire Ying family was actually played around by these two women. And they were even killing each other. Coming to the ice platform, Yi Zizi lowered her head and stood together with Wei Chang and the others, looking just like a child who had done something wrong. Qing Yutong didn't know where she should stand anymore. I don't know what kind of reaction they will have when I jump into brother-in-law's embrace. Of course, I can only think about it, only an idiot would do something like that in such a big scene. However, where should I stand? I should just stand at the back. Yutong, stand at my side. Yi Hua said faintly. In any case, Yi Zizi is my sister-in-law, I have to give Qing Yi face. Just treat it as me standing at her big sister's side. Qing Yutong was overjoyed. Brother-in-law even brought his sister-in-law along when he is acting cool. I really want to kiss brother-in-law. However, I can't show this kind of expression on my face, I can't lose brother-in-law's face. Standing at her brother-in-law's side, Qing Yutong looked at the small island in front of her, the water gods that were standing at the surroundings, and heavy dust who was kneeling at the ruins. This kind of feeling was something that she had never felt before. Wei Chang could be seen taking a small step forward, then shouted out gravely, "Kneel." The 8 water gods shouted out at the same time, "Kneel." A powerful pressure directly pressed onto the backs of all of the people from Ying family, and all of the people who were flying in the air were instantly pressed onto the ground. One by one, the people from Ying family gradually kneeled onto the ground. As the family master, Ying Jingshan was holding on with all his might. How could he possibly kneel? Pfft! A mouthful of blood sprayed out from Ying Jingshan's mouth, and his knee smashed onto the ground. Seeing that all of the people from Ying family were kneeling onto the ground, Yi Hua said faintly, "The reason why I came here today is to give all of you a way out." Chapter 192. 1 second later. Yi Hua said faintly, "A wise man submits to circumstances, I admire the two of you. The Ying family, you call this giving time to consider? Others give you a day, but you give me a second?" And then he said, "A wise man submits to circumstances." This wasn't good, right? It was too hasty. No matter who you were yesterday, from this moment onwards, you will only listen to one person's orders. Yi Hua shouted out faintly, "Sun Fang, come out." Sun Fang, who was standing at the back, was startled. Why was she called out at this time? Death Mage pushed the foolish woman. His honor is asking you to hurry up and run. Sun Fang was still wearing the uniform of a hotel attendant. When the people of the Ying family saw Sun Fang, their heads started buzzing. Could it be that they would have to listen to a hotel attendant from now on? She's the one you'll have to listen to in the future. She'll also pass on my orders. Of course, you can resist, but don't forget the price. I've exterminated a lot of people, and I won't recommend killing one more. After finished speaking, Yi Hua silently lit up a cigarette. Wei Chang once again shouted in a low voice, "Did you hear me clearly?" The Ying family was silent. A water demon god punched at the crowd. Boom boom boom. The entire island shook violently, as if it was about to explode. A huge shockwave swept across the island, and the entire Ying family's building was reduced to rubble by the punch. "Did you hear me?" Wei Chang once again shouted. The 8 water demon gods had already raised their fists. If they continued to fight, the entire Ying family would be destroyed. "I heard it." Ying Shang shouted. As Ying Shang spoke, more and more members of the Ying family spoke up. In front of absolute strength, all resistance was useless. They could only submit. Lai Gu shouted out, "Be orderly, use honorifics." The entire island could be heard shouting at the same time, "We will obey his honor's command." It has been a long time since I enjoyed this kind of treatment. Yi Hua slightly closed his eyes. In the past, when I met with this kind of situation, I would basically not leave anyone alive. However, it is different now, everyone has their own use, as long as I make good use of them. Wei Cheng, Lai Gu, and Yi Zizi who were standing at the back were very excited. It was as if they had returned to the past, and they really wanted to kill all of them. To Wei Cheng and Lai Gu's girlfriends, what they saw tonight had already refreshed their worldview. Sun Fang was still in shock and had yet to recover. In actuality, among all of them, only Qing Yutong was the most surprised. She knew that her brother-in-law was formidable, but she didn't expect that he was formidable to this extent. No wonder the system wants to hug his thigh, big sister is really lucky. In the future, with brother-in-law protecting her, she could rest assured. Yi Hua stretched out his hand and formed a token. Sun Fang, you will be able to control these 8 water demonic gods. And that cat. If they disobeyed, they would be killed. However, the giant water demon god can only appear in this sea region. Death Mage immediately signaled with his eyes. If not, if his honor gets angry and kills you, where am I going to find a wife? Of course, Sun Fang knew the rules. She knelt on the ground and received the token with both hands. You all can still live your lives as usual, just that, you all have to listen to her. Yi Hua emphasized for the last time, then snapped his fingers, and all of them disappeared. The 8 giant water demon gods also turned into seawater, and the ice ceiling throne also quickly melted. If not for heavy dust still kneeling down, everyone would have thought that they were dreaming. Looking at the ancient godly item that fell not far away from them, Ying Jingshan's expression was a bit sluggish. To them, ancient godly items are indeed trash. At this moment, Yi Hua and the others arrived at the surface of the sea, and soon after, Yi Hua said faintly, everyone, disperse, do what you are supposed to do. Death Mage suddenly said, Your Honor, subordinate wishes to assist Sun Fang. Approved. Thank you, Your Honor. Death Mage was worried that Sun Fang would not be able to suppress this Ying family by herself. With me here, I can be at ease. It wasn't easy for me to get a wife, I can't let her die just like that. Sun Fang stood at the side. Although she didn't understand what Death Mage was saying, she felt that it was related to her. Your Honor, subordinate will be leaving first. Lai Gu said respectfully. Yi Hua waved his hand, and Lai Gu's 3 women said respectfully, Your Honor, subordinate will be leaving first. Soon after, Wei Cheng brought Tang Wei and left, while Death Mage brought Sun Fang and entered the barrier once again. Yi Zizi pulled on to Qing Yutong, and the 2 prepared to sneak away. What are you 2 doing? Yi Hua shouted gravely. Yi Zizi pouted her mouth, then immediately raised her butt. Qing Yutong let out a sigh. Brother-in-law teaching sister-in-law a lesson is right and proper. Thus, Qing Yutong learned from Yi Zizi and raised her butt. Yi Hua originally wanted to say something else, but he didn't expect that the 2 of them would be so self-aware. All right. Clap, 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 immediately, sounds of pain rang out. After quite a while, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi held onto their butts and followed behind Yi Hua. I hit too hard, my butts are all swollen now. Oh right, what kind of family is this? Yi Hua asked. Qing Yutong rubbed onto her butt, then said with grievance, we don't know either. Zizi doesn't know either. Yi Hua let out a breath, I was still too casual. If the people from Ying family found out about this, they would probably cry themselves to death in the toilet. Using violence to subdue me, yet I don't know who I subdued. Do you want to know about the 3 big powers? Yutong, come over. Yi Hua called out. Brother-in-law, you really can't hit her anymore, look, her butt is all swollen. Yi Hua laughed lightly, don't mess around in the future. Also, don't tell your big sister about this matter. Yi Hua said seriously. It's better to take it slow with my identity, I'm afraid that Qing Yu won't be able to accept it immediately. Why? Qing Yutong was confused. Yi Hua let out a long sigh, I'm afraid that your big sister will feel inferior. After all, I am truly too outstanding. Qing Yutong, brother-in-law, can you not act cool? Yi Hua immediately raised his hand, and Qing Yutong was so frightened that she hid behind Yi Zizi. Do you understand? I understand, I won't tell big sister, but brother-in-law, you have to find a chance to tell big sister too. Yi Hua naturally knew that. Back then, when he tried to tell her that he was a cultivator, although he didn't show it, he was still able to feel that Qingye was feeling a bit inferior. If he were to tell her that he was a cultivator immediately, she would feel that she was useless, and then have other thoughts in her mind. After arriving at the hotel, Yi Hua suddenly recalled that his wife was still at the wedding dress shop, and hurriedly returned. Big Brother's ability to act cool is getting more and more formidable, he is actually telling us to go and be his foil. Yi Zizi said with a smile. I love to see his honor act cool. Zizi, did you notice that every time your big brother acts cool, he has to smoke? Ah. Why is that? My big sister said that brother-in-law contracted a kind of illness that is incurable, it's called acting cool after smoking syndrome. There's such an illness? It sounds so awesome. Zizi, you cannot learn from your big brother, girls cannot smoke, and even more so, they cannot fight. They also cannot go to bars, and they also cannot put out fires. Big sister Qing, what are we going to wear to the bar tonight? I feel that pink lowly attire suits you very well, what should I wear then? Sailor Moon Warrior. Chapter 193. Yi Hua hurriedly ran to the bridal dress shop, only to see that Qingye had fallen asleep while leaning on the sofa. This foolish woman doesn't even know that I should go back first. After changing his clothes, Yi Hua lightly carried up his woman. Furthermore, it was a princess carry. Qingye pursed her lips, then wrapped her arms around Yi Hua's neck. You are back. If you are tired, why don't you go back and rest? Yi Hua said lightly. I was waiting for you. I was afraid that you wouldn't be able to find me. Yi Hua laughed, how could I not be able to find you? Qingye smiled tenderly and buried her head onto Yi Hua's chest. Qingye felt sweet in her heart. Many things had happened in the Ying family in the past 2 days. It could be considered a calamity. Fortunately, it was contained. However, Sun Fang's first order was that no one was allowed to spread what happened tonight. Otherwise, the entire clan would be exterminated. Death Mage was standing right behind his woman, looking at her giving out orders one after another. Why is that back view of hers becoming more and more enchanting the more I look at it? Especially when he saw her scolding others, it was really beautiful. The rebuilding of the Ying family was going on intensely. Sun Fang had been a sect leader before, so she knew how to manage things. Actually, all she had to do was to keep these family members in check. After giving the order, Sun Fang and Death Mage found a place to lean against each other and started playing the game. In actuality, Sun Fang had forgotten one thing. The token that she had in her hand was able to control 8 giant water demonic gods. These giant water demonic gods were summoned by Yi Hua, and their strength was far above Death Mage's. As long as Sun Fang was willing, she would be able to kill Death Mage at any time. However, for some unknown reason, Sun Fang seemed to have chosen to forget about the matter regarding the giant water demon god, and was still using her own method to get rid of Death Mage. At this moment, in Long City, in a leisure bar, Wei Chang brought Tang Wei and appeared in the toilet of the bar. Tang Wei was still very shocked. That scene just now seemed like something out of a sci-fi movie. That gigantic water man almost destroyed the island with a single punch, and this was just one. His honor is too formidable. When I think about how I had to send a love letter to his honor, I feel so embarrassed. Uncle Wei, it's already so late, I'll go to your house to sleep. Tang Wei tiptoed and said shyly. She was still in a state of excitement and really wanted to do something shameful with Uncle Wei. Wei Chang patted Tang Wei's head. Did you forget that Uncle Wei has a car? Uncle Wei can send you back. Tang Wei, Uncle Wei was the most honest man she had ever met. After walking out of the toilet, Tang Wei pulled onto Wei Chang. Uncle Wei, they are still there," Wei Chang abruptly slapped onto his own head. "I forgot to tell His Honor about this matter. Lil Tang, do you want to change? I'll go ask them what they want." "Okay, Uncle Wei." Wei Chang walked out to the hall outside and saw a man and a woman sitting on a booth. The two of them had grave expressions, as though they were making a big decision. "Sorry, this restaurant is closed now." Wei Chang revealed a professional smile. The man had a guitar case beside him. It seemed to be very important to him. "I want to see Black Robe." The man directly stated his purpose. That's right, he was Xiao Yi. The woman beside him was Shu Nan. Xiao Yi pondered for a long time at home and came to the conclusion that the Xiao family was hopeless. However, Black Robe suddenly appeared in his mind. With Black Robe's help, the Xiao clan would not perish. No matter what request Black Robe made, he would agree to it. He even brought the Xianyuan sword with him this time. 1 life plus the Xianyuan sword, in exchange for the safety of his woman and child. As Xiao Yi's wife, Shu Nan seemed to have sensed something. That day, she blocked her husband's path. If Xiao Yi didn't tell her where he was going, she would die in front of her husband. Xiao Yi had no choice but to tell Shu Nan about his plan. Without thinking about anything, Shu Nan followed her husband to the restaurant. Back then, Xiao Yi asked his wife why she wanted to follow him to the restaurant. Shu Nan smiled very beautifully and said, "I have a life as well." At that moment, Xiao Yi discovered that he was the luckiest person in the world. If he wasn't lucky, how could he have married them? Although he had brought his wife over, Xiao Yi would definitely not let his wife die. "What are you talking about? I don't understand." Wei Chang pretended to ask. "I want to see Black Robe, I have a very important matter to discuss with him." Right now, Xiao Yi's complexion was extremely bad. He was on the verge of collapsing. If the matter is not settled by tonight, he might not be able to see tomorrow's sun. Shu Nan tightly held onto her husband's ice-cold hand, and her heart was bleeding. Wei Chang didn't know how His Honor was going to deal with this Xiao Yi, and thus, he didn't want to care about it. "You can go back first, there is no Black Robe here," Wei Chang said faintly. Shu Nan knelt down in front of Wei Chang. "I beg you, please let us see Black Robe. My husband is going to die soon, and he only wants to see Black Robe one last time before he dies." Wei Chang looked towards Xiao Yi, and discovered that Xiao Yi was indeed like what Shu Nan had said. Xiao Yi probably wouldn't be able to live past tonight. Let Death Mage come over. Forget it, the way he speaks is already making others anxious to death. Forget it, I should just go and ask His Honor for his opinion. Right now, Yi Hua just happened to be sleeping while hugging on to Qinya, and Wei Chang's message suddenly rang out. "Your Honor, Xiao Yi is here." Xiao Yi. Why isn't he properly cultivating at home? What is he doing here? I don't know, but looking at him, it seems like he won't be able to live past tonight. Yi Hua asked confusedly, "Is he going to die?" "And, Your Honor, do you want me to keep him?" Yi Hua thought for a bit. "I just subdued a Black Robe in the south, and the north still lacks a Black Robe. Keep him." "Yes." After finished speaking, Yi Hua continued hugging on to Qinya and continued sleeping. So comfortable. Wei Chang took a look at Xiao Yi and Shu Nan, who was kneeling on the ground. "You two wait for a while." After finished speaking, Wei Chang turned around and left. Shu Nan was overjoyed. She stood up and held onto her husband's hand. "Brother Xiao, hold on." Cough, cough, cough. "Shu Nan, in the future, this family will be relying on you. If you meet someone who is better than me, don't feel pressured." Xiao Yi was very weak, his face was completely devoid of blood. If not for his strong spiritual energy supporting him, he would have died a few days ago. Shu Nan shouted out, "Brother Xiao. What kind of words are you saying? I, Shu Nan, am your woman in this life, and I will still be your woman in my next life." Xiao Yi gasped for breath, and he didn't even have the strength to speak anymore. Suddenly, a black whirlpool appeared in front of the two, and a figure could be seen walking out of the whirlpool. The figure's entire body was covered by black fog. Xiao Yi and Shu Nan looked blankly at the figure. The scene back then was still vivid in their minds. That figure was that black-gowned boss. Wei Chang was having a hard time pretending to be Xiao Yi, and Xiao Tang was still waiting outside. "What's the matter?" Wei Chang asked gravely, and his voice had completely changed. Xiao Yi could be seen to be very excited. Hugging onto his guitar case, his entire body trembled as he lied on the ground. Slowly opening the guitar case, a golden bright and dazzling Xianyuan sword appeared in front of everyone. Xiao Yi could be seen kneeling in front of Wei Chang. Just a moment ago, Xiao Yi moved a bit, and right now, he was gasping for breath. If it wasn't for Shu Nan supporting him, he would have already fallen. I can give you my sword and my life, can you, protect my wife and child? Xiao Yi said this sentence intermittently, but to Xiao Yi, after saying this sentence, he felt that it was even more difficult for him to breathe, and his entire body began trembling. Chapter 194. Wei Chang stretched out his hand, and Xianyuan's sword floated in his hand, then said faintly, "This sword is trash, your life is also trash." Letting go of his hand, Xianyuan's sword fell back into the box, but Wei Chang intentionally left a trace of his own aura on it. Hearing Wei Chang's words and Xianyuan's sword falling down, Xiao Yi coughed violently and tried to crawl towards Wei Chang, begging him to save his wife and child. "However, you are very lucky, I like to save Trash's life." A black fog drilled into Xiao Yi's head, and the latter immediately fainted. "Brother Xiao! Brother Xiao! Tell him, I can save him, and also kill him." Shu Nan was very sensible. She knelt down and said, "From now on, Xiao family will listen to Lord's orders." Wei Chang nodded his head, then disappeared and appeared in the back alley. "Xiao Tang, let's go." Wei Chang smiled and said. Tang Weiwei smiled gently. In the leisure bar, Shu Nan was currently checking her husband's pulse, and finally let out a sigh of relief. Her husband's pulse is stable, and his aura is even more vigorous than before. This person is too powerful to actually be able to save a person who is about to die. Shu Nan helped Xiao Yi to a seat and waited patiently for 10 minutes. Wu Shu Nan went into a daze. "Why is brother Xiao crying? Isn't this a woman's specialty? Where am I?" Xiao Yi raised his head and asked in a daze. Shu Nan's heart sunk. Did something happen? "Brother Xiao. Look at me." Shu Nan pressed onto Xiao Yi's cheek and asked nervously. Xiao Yi, who was in a daze, suddenly smiled and hugged onto his woman. Shu Nan was startled for a moment and punched fiercely. "You bastard, you scared me to death. I will beat you to death." Xiao Yi hugged onto the woman tightly, and after a long time, he said gently, "Shu Nan, thank you. Brother Xiao." Listening to that powerful heartbeat, Shu Nan was finally at ease. "All right, let's go back." Xiao Yi stood up and looked at Xianyuan's sword that was on the ground. His expression didn't change much as he closed the box and picked it up. "Brother Xiao, are we leaving just like this?" Shu Nan took a look at the surroundings and asked confusedly. Xiao Yi nodded and a black mist flashed through his black eyes. There are still many things waiting for us to do. I want to see how many people want to betray me." Shu Nan nodded. It was a miracle that they had escaped from death this time. Even so, it would be even more dangerous next. Everyone stared at the Xianyuan sword in Brother Xiao's hand. Brother Xiao seemed to be planning to continue pretending to be sick to lure out those hidden enemies. This was good. Just like that, a miraculous day passed. The Ying family, one of the 3 giants, sank into a sea of pain, while the Xiao family, an ordinary family, had a day of great joy. This incident was enough to prove that luck was really important. He was not lying. "All right, I was lying, In actuality, everything is within Yihua's control. The next morning, Yihua was once again pulled up by Qingya. Of course, Qingya only managed to pull Yihua up after pulling him up for an hour. Qingya didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Such a grown man is actually dawdling on the bed, and he still won't get down without kissing me a few times, acting shamelessly. Yihua, who was pulled out of bed, was in a very bad mood. Since I, the Supreme Overlord, am in a bad mood, there is definitely someone else who is going to be out of luck. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi were two unlucky fellows. Today, they were filming an outdoor scene. They were definitely tired. Even if Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi wanted to run away, they wouldn't be able to. Their butts were still hurting. However, this pair of bridesmaids was indeed interesting. This outdoor scene was almost as good as a celebrity's autograph signing session. Other than the cameraman, there was also a group of people taking photos of the bridesmaids. After all, the man was handsome, the woman was beautiful, and there was also a little lowly. This combination was too good. 2,500 kilometers away, there was an even more miserable scene. Big brother, do we really have to do this? Little brother Red asked sorrowfully. Big brother Green took a puff of his cigarette, then looked at little Ali, who was standing at the side, and said gravely, "Sell, 3,000 RMB, are you really going to sell it?" That's right, Big brother Green had the idea of selling the car. This Wuling Hongguang was bought by me using all of my savings. Although I bought a second-hand car for 30,000 RMB, and all of them were used to transport goods, if I don't sell it now, what am I going to eat? Big brother, let's go and get the money. Big brother Green stretched out his hand and slapped. Are you stupid? If I were to go and get the money, wouldn't I be exposing my position? This is possible as well. Little brother Red asked puzzledly. Nonsense. Once I withdraw the money, the bank will know where to withdraw it. Then we will be surrounded. That's how it is on TV. Why don't you grow a brain? Little brother Red pouted his mouth. Who in the world would think about such things when watching TV? Hey, are you still selling this car? The boss of the black shop shouted impatiently. This car was not bad, and he could earn a few thousand if he sold it. Big brother Green hastily said, "Sell." Dong Huangli could be seen walking to Big brother Green's side, then pulling onto the corner of Big brother Green's clothes, Uncle Green. Big brother Green, who originally had a stern face, turned around and smiled. "Ali, what's wrong?" "Uncle Green will treat you to McDonald's." "Uncle Green, Ali doesn't want to eat McDonald's anymore, it's not delicious." Dong Huangli was naturally able to tell that her two uncles didn't have any money. How could it be possible for them to go and eat such expensive food? Big brother Green carried Dong Huangli and asked with a smile, "What does Ali want to eat?" "Uncle Green will buy it for you." "Ali wants to eat buns." The Green and Red brothers sighed in their hearts. What a sensible child. Rubbing onto Ali's head, Big brother Green said with a smile, "All right, I will ask Uncle Red to buy meat buns for you." Looking at his underling who was bringing Ali to buy meat buns, Big brother Green pointed at the motorcycle at the side and asked, "Boss, how much is your motorcycle?" 1,000 renminbi. The boss immediately asked for an exorbitant price. Big brother Green had ridden a lot of motorcycles in the past. Taking a look at the motorcycle, it was actually not bad, but 1,000 renminbi was too expensive. "Are you selling it for 500 renminbi?" "Not selling." "Forget it then." Hey, little brother, please wait, we can discuss the price." The boss immediately shouted out. "That motorcycle had been placed here for 2 months, it is best for me to sell it now, 800 renminbi, you can take it." "Bye-bye." 600. "Forget it." All right, 500 renminbi, you can take it." The boss didn't want to waste too much space on the motorcycle. Taking the 2,500 renminbi and a motorcycle that was emitting black smoke, the three headed south. When it rained, they would hide from the rain. When it rained at night, they would randomly find a place to sleep. Although it was quite embarrassing, the entire journey was filled with laughter. At night, it rained again. Big Brother Green hurriedly looked for a place to take shelter from the rain. Fortunately, there was an old house that had collapsed by the roadside. The Green and Red brothers' afro heads had already collapsed, and it seemed like they were going to need to be ligated. Little Ali's face looked very crafty, but his pair of eyes were very bright. This damn weather in the South Shore is filled with water. Little Brother Red shook off the water that was on his head and sighed. Chapter 195. Ali rubbed onto his stomach. In actuality, I am very hungry. Ali isn't hungry. Dong Huangli said, then moved her body closer to the fire. After interacting with Ali for the past few days, the Green and Red brothers knew Ali's personality. She was especially caring and considerate. Dong Huangli stood up, then walked to the back of Big Brother Green and said with a smile, "Uncle Green, you have been riding a motorcycle for an entire day. Ali will give you a massage." "Thank you, Ali. I'm not tired at all. I'm in high spirits." Actually, Big Brother Green's shoulders were aching, and he felt that his shoulders were about to be dislocated. However, Ali was still massaging Big Brother Green's shoulders. Little Brother Red suddenly said angrily, "Big Brother, the people in the family are too vicious. They actually reported us, and even said that we stole chickens from the neighboring village 1 year ago. Sigh, a friend in need is a friend indeed. I have decided to withdraw from the family." Big Brother Green lit up a wrinkled cigarette. "Good idea. How about we start our own clan? What's his name?" The underling was very excited. Big Brother Green spat out a mouthful of smoke, and said indifferently, "Let's call it the Buried Love Clan. F***ck me. What a good name. It's deep, artistic, and creative." "In that case, Ali wants to join as well," Dong Huangli said with a smile on her face. Big Brother Green said with a smile, "It's fine if you're just a brat, we'll talk about it when you grow up." If Ali wants it, ha, our Burying Love family already has 3 members, who is going to be the boss? Little Brother Red stood up and said, "You all should quickly acknowledge me as the boss." Dong Huangli immediately raised her hand, "Ali will be the boss." Big Brother Green was speechless. Little Brother Red stood up and said with a smile, "Ali, what's so good about being the boss? Watch Uncle Red show you a spiral-style Thomas spin." Poke, poke, poke. For a moment, dust filled the air, and Big Brother Green and Dong Huangli immediately covered their mouths and noses. "Don't F***king turn around, our back mountain was flattened by you." Big Brother Green couldn't take it anymore. Little Brother Red clapped his hands and stood up, "Big Brother, during the family competition last year, you were ranked first in Thomas Spin." "Ah, Uncle Green is number 1. So formidable." Dong Huangli cried out in surprise. Dong Huangli felt that being ranked first was already very formidable. Big Brother Green was very modest, "It's all in the past, a real man doesn't talk about his past achievements." "Big Brother, show it to Ali." Dong Huangli also said, "Uncle Green, Ali wants to watch you spin." "Alright, Uncle Green will perform for Ali." Big Brother Green could be seen patting his buttocks as he walked towards his little brother's position. Poke, poke, poke. As expected of the first place in the family competition, it was as if a smokescreen had been thrown at the scene. Big Brother Green's figure had disappeared. Dong Huangli, cough, cough, cough. Little Brother Red, cough, 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 cough. Little Brother Red thought to himself. To think that the one who said that I flattened the rear mountain was obviously you, Big Brother. Happy times always passed quickly. The 3 of them gradually fell asleep and continued their journey south the next day. 10 days later, the 3 of them stood at the plaza of Long-an City and looked at the huge statue. A middle-aged woman took a look and slowly took out 5 yuan and put it on the ground. "Auntie! Come back, I look like a beggar with that eye of yours." Little Brother Red shouted out. The auntie turned around and gave him a look of disdain. "Are you crazy? It's not like it's for you." The corner of little brother Red's mouth twitched. Are you trying to say that I am even inferior to a beggar? Dong Huangli picked up the 5 RMB that was on the ground, then said to the auntie, "Thank you, auntie." The auntie walked back and took out 10 yuan. "Little friend, go buy something to eat. The motorcycle broke down on the way here, and it was the kind that couldn't be repaired." Big Brother Green also used up all his money, but he still insisted on not withdrawing money. If he really wanted to withdraw money, he would only do it as a last resort. While holding on to the money in her hand, Dong Huangli, who had a sneaky look on her face, said with a smile, "Uncle, Ali has money now, I will treat you all to a meal." The green and red brothers stroked Ali's head and said with a smile, "Uncle is not hungry, Ali can eat by himself." "This won't do, if uncles aren't going to eat, Ali isn't going to eat as well." Dong Huangli pouted her small mouth. Dong Huangli had a look of, "If uncles aren't going to eat, I'm going to go on a hunger strike." Upon hearing Ali's words, the green and red brothers glanced at each other. This sentence is worth it. Dong Huangli bought a steamed bun and pinched it into 3 pieces. However, Dong Huangli's portion was at least half of the steamed bun, and the red and green brothers didn't have much. They found a park and sat on a bench. The 3 of them slowly tasted the world's most delicious steamed buns. "Ali, now that we have arrived at Long An City, where do your daddy and mommy live?" Big Brother Green asked. "I feel that after going through 81 trials and tribulations, I have finally sent my little ancestor to their destination." Let's go," Dong Huangli said. The green and red brothers went into a daze. "What do you mean? Let's go? It's Qing, right?" Dong Huangli said with a pure accent. "Big brother, I have heard of bars before, but I have never heard of it before," little brother Red said confusedly. Big Brother Green stretched out his hand and slapped on little brother Red's hand. "Are you stupid? My phone is out of battery, let's search one by one then." Little brother Red let out a breath. "This is such a big city, how are we supposed to search? Seems like this adventure of mine is not over yet." After finishing eating, the 3 of them began searching for the so-called Qing bar. However, they suddenly discovered something: the Qing bar seems to be closed during the day. Walking to the bustling street, the 3 of them indeed became the center of attention. Suddenly, a burst of fragrance wafted over, causing the 3 of them to stop their footsteps and look towards their right. King Song Mansion's hot pot restaurant. The green and red brothers pursed their lips, and Dong Huangli directly swallowed her saliva. "There are so many people queuing up," Dong Huangli muttered. "Big brother, the food inside looks very delicious." Little brother Red was about to drool. "That's right," Dong Huangli said foolishly. Suddenly, a man who was wearing a suit stood at the entrance and smoked. Looking at the 3 of them, the man's brows wrinkled. "The 3 of you, stand further away, I don't want to affect my customer's appetite." Dong Huangli pulled onto Big Brother Green's hand. "Uncle, let's hurry up and leave, don't affect them while they are eating." Big Brother Green was in a bad mood. "What are you shouting about? This road belongs to your family, even people who come from the countryside are more cultured than you." You still dare to talk back to me, get lost, if not see how I am going to take care of you." Dong Huangli pointed at the manager and said with a childish voice, "Uncle, you are a bad person." "Yo, where did this little beggar come from? Your mouth is so unforgiving, you don't even have a bit of upbringing." The green and red brothers looked at little Ali with bloodshot eyes and immediately exploded. The green and red brothers rolled up their sleeves and shouted, "You fucking dare to say that one more time." Seeing that the green and red brothers were going to risk their lives, the manager immediately hid inside the restaurant. "If you still don't leave, I am going to call the police. Fuck, if I don't teach you a lesson today, I will dye my hair green." After speaking, little brother Red rushed into the restaurant, scaring the people that were queuing up to immediately move aside. Big Brother Green also rushed into the restaurant, and immediately, sounds of fighting could be heard coming from inside the restaurant. In less than a minute, the Red and Green brothers ran out of the restaurant with a panicked look on their faces, then carried Dong Huangli and ran away madly. More than 10 chefs could be seen rushing out of the restaurant, and each of them was holding onto a kitchen knife. "Big brother, there is an alley over here, run over there." Big brother Green slapped onto little brother Red's back. "What if that alley is blocked? Quickly run." "You are right." Chapter 196. The Green and Red brothers, who were carrying Dong Huangli, had no idea how long they had been running for. In any case, they no longer had any strength to continue running. "Ali, are you okay?" Big brother Green gasped for breath. Fortunately, it had practiced the Thomas spin before, so its physical strength could keep up. Dong Huangli said with a baby voice, "Uncle Green, lower your head." "N?" Big brother Green was confused. However, he still squatted down slowly. Dong Huangli could be seen using her sleeve to wipe off Big brother Green's sweat. Upon seeing this, little brother Red immediately squatted down together with his big brother and said, "Ali, Uncle Red wants it too." "And Ali will help Uncle Red wipe his sweat right away," Dong Huangli said with a smile. Originally, the two of them were very angry. However, when they saw how attentive Dong Huangli was, all of the anger in their hearts disappeared. "Dong Huangli is too obedient to the point that I don't want her to suffer any harm." The three of them continued to wander around in this unfamiliar city. Dong Huangli was standing in the middle of the Red and Green brothers, holding onto their big hands, and jumping around from time to time. To Dong Huangli, although the past few days were bitter, she was still very happy. Compared to when she was in Voidless Realm, she was much happier. When the night arrived, the Green and Red brothers began to bring Dong Huangli along as they went from bar to bar to bar. However, it was a pity that they did not manage to find anything. "Uncle Green, Uncle Red, Ali wants to confess something to the two of you." Dong Huangli stopped her footsteps, and with a pitiful look on her face, Dong Huangli slightly lowered her head and interlocked her fingers. With such a cute look, no matter how big the matter was, no one could bear to hit or scold her. The two squatted beside Dong Huangli, then asked curiously, "Little ancestor, what do you want to confess?" Actually, the person that Ali came here to look for isn't Daddy and Mommy. Ali came here to look for Aunt Qing." After finished speaking, Dong Huangli pinched onto her own ears, seemingly as if she was preparing to receive punishment. The Green and Red brothers went into a daze. Big brother Green rubbed onto Dong Huangli's head and said, "It's all right, let's just look for Aunt Qing." But calling her Aunt Qing, this name is very strange. If Dong Huangli knew what her two uncles were thinking, she would definitely faint. Her surname is Qing, furthermore, she is meeting an online friend. After walking for a while, a bar called Baidu appeared in front of the three of them. There were quite a lot of people there, and they could even line up. Big brother Green asked, "Ali, what characteristics does your Aunt Qing have?" Dong Huangli thought for a while. "Aunt Qing often says that I am beautiful, and also have a lot of money. Beautiful and rich." Dong Huangli said. The Green and Red brothers were startled. As expected of a child from a rich family. However, to be able to raise such a sensible child, there must be a scholar in the family. That's right, his father would exterminate entire clans at the slightest provocation, and his mother would threaten people at the slightest provocation. The Green and Red brothers walked forward and asked a man who was wearing a black jacket and sunglasses, "Brother, do you have someone called Aunt Qing here?" The jacketed man took off his sunglasses and sized up Dong Huangli, then looked at Dong Huangli, then said gravely, "Come in with me." The Green and Red brothers were overjoyed. The heavens have eyes. After going through untold hardships, we have finally found our Aunt Qing. Dong Huangli was also very happy. "I am finally able to see the legendary Aunt Qing." After entering the bar, Dong Huangli covered her ears. "It's so noisy. I don't like this place at all." On the other hand, the Green and Red brothers were very curious. The bars in this big city were indeed very fashionable. There were so many beautiful women dressed very sexily, but compared to them, there was still a gap. Their attire was the most fashionable nowadays. The man in the jacket led the three of them to the second floor. They walked through several dark corridors and pushed open one of the doors. It's inside. The Green and Red brothers brought Dong Huang Li into the small house. However, the situation was different from what they had imagined. There was a table with poker cards and an ashtray full of cigarette butts, melon seeds, peanuts, and beer bottles. It looked very messy. A man was sitting on a boss's chair, holding a woman with heavy makeup in his arms. His hands were already inside the woman's clothes. Big Brother Green immediately covered Dong Huang Li's eyes. Children shouldn't look at Dong Huang Li's eyes. Sister Qing, someone is looking for you, the man in the jacket said as he stood at the side. The man patted the woman's butt, and the woman said sweetly, Brother Kun, you're so annoying, ha. Qing Lian walked over to the front of the Green and Red brothers and took a glance at them. Soon after, Qing Lian squatted down and looked towards Dong Huang Li. Not bad, although they are a bit dirty, they can still be counted as beauties. Dong Huang Li immediately hid behind Big Brother Green and looked at the woman in front of her vigilantly. Her voice is so ugly, she is not Aunt Qing, tell me, how much? Qing Lian smiled. Little Brother Red wrinkled his brows and said, are you sick? We are here to look for someone. Big Brother Green knew that he had gone to the wrong place, and he immediately pulled onto Dong Huang Li and walked towards the exit. The man in the jacket blocked the door and flashed a knife in his hand. His intention couldn't be more obvious. This isn't a place where you can come and go as you please. Qing Lian said coldly. Kun Chong, who was sitting in the boss's chair, stood up, took out a cigar, and sniffed it. The little girl stays. You can go. It wasn't that the Green and Red brothers didn't mingle in the outside world before, it was just that they had already washed their hands of the outside world and decided not to mingle anymore. In this kind of situation, there was no need to say anything more. Just fight and run. The two of them could be seen immediately kicking the jacketed man to the ground, then carrying Dong Huang Li, they ran away. Kun Chong picked up the walkie-talkie on the table. Two non-mainstream people ran out. Beat them up. Bring the girl back to me. Yes. Qing Lian giggled and said, when this girl grows up, I'm sure she'll earn a lot of money. I'll feed you until you grow up first. Annoying, outside, the Green and Red brothers were already surrounded. In this narrow passageway, there were 5 people at the front and 5 people at the back. Big Brother, what should we do? What should we do? Who said that non-mainstream people don't know how to fight? Dong Huang Li also wanted to go up and help, but she was immediately pulled back by the 2 brothers. Big Brother, there are too many people. Little Brother Red held onto his arm when he saw that his arm had turned red. The more they fought, the more people there were. Furthermore, the other party had weapons. Big Brother Green carried on to Dong Huang Li, then gestured towards the window. This little brother naturally understood what Dong Huang Li meant by jumping out of the window. Big Brother Green could be seen taking the lead. While carrying on to Dong Huang Li, he used his arm to smash the window. Luckily, it was only the 2nd floor, and furthermore, it wasn't his first time jumping onto the 2nd floor. Ah Li, are you alright? Big Brother Green asked hurriedly. Dong Huang Li was already crying. Uncles treat me too well. Dong Huang Li said while choking with emotions, Ah Li is fine. At this moment, Little Brother Red jumped down from the window and shouted out, Big Brother, quickly leave. Sure enough, over 10 youngsters rushed out from the back door while holding onto steel pipes and fruit knives. Big Brother Green cursed inwardly, then carried on to Dong Huang Li and ran away. While running, Little Brother Red cursed out loudly, did you guys run marathons before? You guys have already run a few streets, yet you are still chasing after me. How can the city's hoodlums run so well? Big Brother Green cursed out. The chase was still continuing. The Green and Red brothers were already out of breath from running, and the group of hoodlums behind them were the same as well. However, they still didn't give up. Little Brother Red turned around and pointed at the hoodlums and shouted out, "How big of a hatred do you guys have for me to chase after you guys for a few kilometers?" One of the hoodlums could be seen holding onto the railing and said while gasping for breath, I just can't stand you non-mainstream people. Fuck. If it wasn't for me being hungry today, I would have already knocked you down." Little Brother Red was very imposing, but his appearance wasn't impressive at all. "Brothers, chop them to death." Little Brother Red cursed out, then ran away once again. Chapter 197. The boss of the delinquents at the back signaled to the delinquents to surround them. This was the advantage of being a local tyrant, they knew the location of the delinquents. While carrying Dong Huangli, Little Red ran into the alleyway. However, just when he ran to the center of the alleyway, the road in front of him was blocked. Big Brother Green stretched out his hand and slapped, "Where are the bends? Open a path for me." "Big Brother, I didn't know that it would be like this either. There are indeed a lot of bends in our village, while in the big city, there are a lot of bends." Little Brother Red felt wronged. Dong Huangli said in a low voice, "Uncle, let's surrender, Ali has a way." "Surrender? That's impossible, it's impossible in this lifetime." Big Brother Green looked to the side. "There is actually a bar here as well. Aren't you afraid of closing down by opening a bar here?" "Ching Bar, the name is too ugly." Big Brother Green said gravely, "Let's hide inside first." "Good idea." Without thinking, the two immediately pushed open the door and entered the house beside them. Those delinquents hurriedly ran over, but did not rush into the house. "Big Brother, what should we do?" "What else can we do? Let's go." Not long later, all of the delinquents left. In actuality, in Long'an City, all of the bars wouldn't take the initiative to provoke this bar. It wasn't that they didn't provoke this bar before, it was that they couldn't afford to provoke this bar, because this bar was called Ching Bar. Green and Red brothers laid at the entrance of the bar and looked outside with a puzzled look. Why did they all run away? "Uncle, they all ran away." Dong Huangli was also feeling dizzy. Dong Huangli was completely confused. Suddenly, a voice rang out from behind. "Sorry, the bar is already closed." Wei Chang said courteously, just like a gentleman. Green and Red brothers turned around and said embarrassedly, all right, we will leave now." Dong Huangli could be seen turning around and saying with a childish voice, "Sorry for disturbing." When Wei Chang saw Dong Huangli's face, his pitch-black eyes immediately became serious. Why does this child look so much like his honor? Furthermore, there is actually a slight aura being emitted out from her body. This aura, wait. Wei Chang's expression changed greatly, looking very sinister. This loud shout startled Tang Wei, who was cleaning at the back. She immediately ran over and asked, "Uncle Wei, what happened?" Wei Chang slowly walked towards Dong Huangli. The Green and Red brothers immediately stood in front of Dong Huangli, and the Green and Red brothers looked like they were going to risk their lives to block Dong Huangli's path. Right now, Wei Chang was very emotional, and even Tang Wei was unable to hold him back. Bang! The Green and Red brothers were sent flying to the sides, knocked against the wall, and fainted. "Uncle Green, Uncle Red!" Dong Huangli shouted out anxiously. She wanted to run over and check on their injuries, but her body was bound by a formless power. Dong Huangli could be seen glaring at Wei Chang, then said with a childish voice, "Bad uncle, let go of me. You're a bad person." "Uncle Wei!" Tang Wei shouted out worriedly. Wei Chang didn't pay attention to Dong Huangli and was fixedly staring at Dong Huangli. All kinds of possibilities were appearing in his mind. "Let me go." Dong Huangli suddenly became enraged, and her pair of eyes immediately flickered with a red light. Dong Huangli's powerful aura burst out, and she actually broke free from Wei Chang's restraint, then threw her small fist towards Wei Chang. Right now, Wei Chang was extremely excited. This aura is actually the same as his honor's aura. Then who was she? Moreover, a little girl was actually able to break free from his restraints. This was too unbelievable. Wei Chang stretched out his index finger, and Dong Huangli's small fist struck onto Wei Chang's index finger. A berserk qi swept out in all directions. Wei Chang hurriedly dispelled this wave of qi, otherwise he would have to clean up again. Dong Huangli, who stretched out her small fist, seemed to have used too much strength, then slowly closed her eyes. Wei Chang stretched out his hand and hugged onto Dong Huangli. Uncle Wei, she? Tang Wei asked curiously. Xiao Tang, Uncle Wei won't be sending you back today, something big happened. Wei Chang held onto Dong Huangli's small hand and sensed the aura within Dong Huangli's body. That's right. This is his honor's aura, and it is actually so pure. Tang Wei wrinkled her brows and said worriedly, Uncle Wei, I'll stay here and accompany you then. Wei Chang nodded his head, then immediately contacted his honor. I'm afraid that his honor's vacation will end in advance. Yi Hua, who was far away in Sanya, was currently feeling rather comfortable. Ever since that day when they were filming the outdoor scene, Yi Hua and Qing Yutong couldn't bear to watch on anymore. Yi Zizi calculated for a bit. In this 1 hour, Yi Hua would kiss at least 10 times. Qing Yutong calculated for a bit. Big sister would be kissed at least 240 times a day. So scary. Indeed, sometimes, not only would Yi Hua take the initiative, Qing Ye had also learned to take the initiative. This made Yi Hua very happy. In the end, the two of them indulged in pleasure to the point that they forgot about their duties and duties. If they didn't kiss each other, they would feel that something was missing. In actuality, this also meant that the relationship between Yi Hua and Qing Ye had already risen to a certain level. In the past, Qing Ye would passively accept it, and sometimes, she would even say that she wanted Yi Hua to admit that she was a swindler. But now, there was no need for that at all. For example, right now, Yi Hua was fiercely biting onto Qing Ye, and Qing Ye had a look of enjoyment on her face as she hugged onto Yi Hua's neck. After a long time, they finally separated. My lips are already swollen from being sucked on by you. Qing Ye pursed her cherry lips. This hateful fellow is becoming more and more like a child. Yi Hua directly carried Qing Ye into his embrace and lightly caressed Qing Ye's lower abdomen. Feeling the little fellow's aura, it's very pure. Yi Hua, what do you think our child should be called? Qing Ye asked curiously while lying on Yi Hua's chest. Yi Hua said faintly, that is definitely the most resounding name. Could it be Yi Xiangliang? Yi Hua couldn't help but knock on Qing Ye's forehead. To think that you can even think of something like that. You hit my forehead again. What should I do if I become stupid? Qing Ye puffed out her cheeks and looked at Yi Hua with hidden bitterness. Seeing that the woman was acting coquettishly, Yi Hua couldn't help but press down on her and fiercely bite down on her. So soft and so sweet. Your honor. Your honor. Just as Yi Hua was enjoying his wife's lips, Wei Chang's exclamation rang out in his mind. While kissing onto Qing Ye's lips, Yi Hua replied coldly, if there's nothing, don't disturb me. Your honor, something big happened. Yi Hua sat up and wrinkled his brows. Wei Chang never talked about something big before. Even if he never talked about it before. To be able to make me so flustered. Yi Hua, what's wrong? Qing Ye asked concernedly. Yi Hua shook his head, then walked to the balcony and lit up a cigarette. What's going on? Your honor, you should quickly come back and take a look. This matter is really hard to explain. Look at what? Yi Hua asked coldly. This fellow's so-called big matter is looking at things. Looking at a person, your honor, this matter cannot be sloppy. Since Qing Ye had already said it to this point, Yi Hua didn't ask anymore. However, he wasn't very anxious. Walking into the house, Yihua asked, Qinya, book the earliest flight tomorrow, we are going back. Did something happen? Qinya immediately became worried. Yihua laughed lightly, don't worry, it's just a small matter. Stop bragging, if it's just a small matter, then what's the big matter? Yihua stretched out his hand and lifted onto Qinya's chin, then said faintly, to me, you are my big matter. Yihua. You have changed. Qinya cried out in surprise. You've become glib. I want the original version of Yihua, you are too bad I want to downgrade, sorry, I will only become worse and worse. After speaking, Yihua pressed onto Qinya once again. In the past, I felt that the king not attending morning court was bullsh*t, but now, I feel that the saying is indeed somewhat reasonable. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.